Chapter 257. Ding, successfully killed Feng Yulong. Reward, 7,800 EXP, 1,800 Crazy Point, 50 SPs, 100 Divine Rune Mastery Points. Obtained Flying Cloud Sword Technique, Chaotic Cloud Steps. Killing Feng Yulong with one kick is not difficult at all. Feng Yulong's cultivation is very weak, so killing him is like stepping on an ant. You killed Brother Feng. Liao Wen, who also betrayed his sect, looked at Yi Tianyun and said angrily, You dare to resist. The next moment, Yi Tianyun flashed in front of him and kicked him. Liao Wen was also kicked away and died instantly. Ding, successfully killed Liao Wen. Reward, 6,500 EXP, 1,500 Crazy Point, 20 SPs, 100 Divine Rune Mastery Points. Death penalty. He didn't show any mercy and killed those who deserved to be killed without mercy. No one could see how he moved at such a shocking speed, not even the elders could see it. This speed is too fast to believe. Yang Shishue's eyes lit up when she saw the situation. She knew that Yi Tianyun was strong, and she knew that Yi Tianyun was strong. Death penalty. Yi Tianyun didn't stop and continued to kick to the side. One by one, the disciples who betrayed his sect were kicked away, and the result is death. Yin never kills randomly, but when he really wants to kill, he can't stop. Death penalty. Death penalty. Death penalty. With one kick, Yi Tianyun easily killed a lot of disciples who betrayed his sect. Elder Shao Jie roared and his spirit core stage cultivation erupted. Killing these disciples in front of him was equivalent to slapping him in the face. How could he tolerate this? But he didn't rush over. Yi Tianyun already rushed in front of him and kicked him. Thump, Elder Shao Jie was also kicked away. His internal organs were destroyed, and he fell to the ground dead. Bullying our heaven's top mansion is a capital offense. Yi Tianyun looked coldly at the people who were still standing. I've listened to your nonsense for half a day. It's time to clean up the trash. Do you really think our heaven's top mansion is easy to bully? The dignity of our heaven's top mansion cannot be violated. Although our heaven's top mansion is weak, I am honored to be a disciple of heaven's top mansion, and I am willing to defend its dignity. Yang Yu said angrily, Everyone, let's get them out of here. Under Yang Yu's guidance, all of them seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. They all rushed over and fought with them. Their cultivation was not high, but it did not mean that they could not fight. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. Only with this kind of disciple could a sect have hope of reviving. If every single one of them betrayed the sect, or if they were filled with despair and had no sense of belonging, then the sect would definitely be finished. Well, let's get rid of them together. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed, and he rushed to another elder. This elder's cultivation was the highest. After killing him, then everything will be solved. You are the enemy of Divine Rune Mansion. You are tired of living. The remaining elders saw Yi Tianyun rushing over, and his face turned pale. His companion was killed by Yi Tianyun's foot. He immediately knew that the young man in front of him was very strong. No, now you are tired of living, Tianyun said as he kicked the elder, sending him flying and killing him instantly. Successfully killed Divine Rune Mansion's elder, gaining 240,000 EXP, 3,200 Crazy Point, 50 SPs, 500 Divine Rune Mastery. When killing an elder, Yi Tianyun must activate the crazy mode. He can't let it go to waste. The others also didn't fall behind. They took out their weapons and attacked the Divine Rune Mansion's disciple. Their weapons were engraved with their own divine rune, so their power suddenly increased. But the Divine Rune Mansion's disciple is also not bad, but now that the elder is dead, their morale is low. They just turned around and ran away. They don't dare to resist. Li Huan, who was seriously injured and couldn't move, was dumbfounded. Originally, he came here to watch a good show, but now he can't escape. Who can take me away? Li Huan struggled to climb up, but his serious injury made it difficult for him to move. Do you want me to help you? Yi Tianyun flashed in front of him and looked at him with a charming face. You killed me. The mansion lord will avenge us. Your heaven's top mansion is doomed to be destroyed. Not only you killed our young lord, but also so many of our people. My death, your heaven's top mansion will be buried with me. Li Huan was desperate. He knows that he can't escape. No matter how he begs for mercy, he might as well go all out. Is that so? But unfortunately, the one who will be buried with you is not our heaven's top mansion, but your mansion lord and your divine rune mansion. Yi Tianyun smiled coldly. He took off the 100 transformation mask, revealing a familiar face. After Li Huan saw clearly, his face became pale. He looked at Yi Tianyun and said, How can it be you? Tianyun put back the mask, smiled and said, Of course it's me. Don't worry, your mansion lord is dead. You can rest in peace. As soon as he finished his words, Tianyun kicked Li Huan, and with a bang sound, Li Huan was kicked out. Ding, successfully killed Li Huan, gained experience. Soon, this place was cleared. There is basically no one left alive. Tianyun is very ruthless. After the other disciples killed them, their face is not very good. They basically haven't killed anyone before, some of them even killed for the first time. But if they don't do this, they will be killed. They have no choice. Clean up here, I will leave for the time being. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed. Benefactor, where are you going? Yang Shishue hurriedly shouted. To deal with some things, some places, I wanted to let them exist for a long time, but now it seems that there is no need to. The place Yi Tianyun wants to go to is very simple, that is Divine Rune Mansion. At first, he thought that it is the problem of the upper echelons, but now it seems that the problem is rotten to the bone. If that is the case, there is no need for Divine Rune Mansion to exist. Let him uproot it completely. When he left, Yang Yu patted her sister's shoulder and said, Sister, he has already left. What are you still looking at? No wonder other men don't like him, but you like him, right? In fact, I think the boss is also not bad. Go to hell. Yang Shishue coldly said, If you think the boss is good, then marry him yourself. Chapter 258. Yi Tianyun rode the Black Dragon and quickly rushed to Divine Rune Mansion. He is not afraid of being exposed, he wants to be completely exposed. Anyway, no one knows his true identity, and no one will contact Heaven's top mansion, so there won't be any problem. Ding, successfully accepted, eradicate the scourge of Divine Rune Mansion, quest, successfully gained 10 million EXP, 100,000 crazy points, 1 tyrant rune paper, 1 enhancement roulette lottery, 100 prestige points, 1,000 spitz points. It seems that the system can't stand it anymore. Yi Tianyun's eyes twinkled. Now it is rare to see the system release such a task. It seems that there are certain conditions to trigger the task. Those people or sects will definitely not trigger the task. At the same time, Divine Rune Mansion is also discussing the same issue. I don't know how many resources the elders will bring back. Maybe they will bring back a lot of medicinal pills and a lot of weapons so we can benefit from it. Bullshit. You didn't go, and you expect the elders to give you medicinal pills? If only we could go, we can go to Heaven's top mansion and rob their things, hee hee. If there are beautiful female disciples, we will be happy. No matter what, they killed our young master. This time Heaven's top mansion will definitely die. A trash sect, dare to be arrogant in front of us. It's best to kill them all and occupy the whole Heaven's top mansion. This is really hard to say. If I go, I will definitely wipe out Heaven's top mansion. Unfortunately, I can't go at all, only a small number of people can go. They all sighed deeply, but they are looking forward to the elders' return, bringing back a lot of resources, not to eat meat, but to drink soup. The entire Divine Rune Mansion is looking forward to the elders' return, but they didn't wait for the elders to come back. They saw a black dragon coming towards them. When they saw a huge black dragon falling from the sky, many disciples were shocked. Black dragon. What's going on? How can there be a divine beast? Quick, look up there. Someone is riding a black dragon? They were all stunned, but it quickly turned into endless fear. As soon as the divine beast black dragon flew down, it aimed at the surroundings and spat out flames. The flames quickly burned and spread in all directions. Its gigantic body continued to charge towards the houses, flattening them one by one. Tianyun stood on top of it, staring down at the scene below. Flatten them all for me. Destroy this divine inscription manor for me. From today onwards, the divine rune manor will no longer exist. Boom! The black dragon crazily stomped on the house and continuously spat out flames to burn the surroundings. Some of the disciples did not escape in time and were burned by the flames, which then turned into experience points that flowed into the system. Tianyun didn't go out of his way to kill these disciples. He only wanted to completely destroy this divine inscription manor. As for the other disciples, they would run if they could, but if they tried to stop him, then only death awaited them. Who dares to destroy our divine inscription manor? Several elders flew out from inside. Although Nenfengyun took away a lot of elders, there were still many elders inside. One by one, the spirit core experts surrounded the black dragon. When they saw the aura released by the black dragon, their hearts trembled a bit. The aura of this divine beast was too strong. It was a lot stronger than them. Their cultivation was only at the 3rd or 4th level of the spirit core realm, and the higher ones were at the 5th or 6th level. But compared to the black dragon's 8th or 9th level of the spirit core realm, it was simply not enough. "I'm here to kill you." Tianyun's eyes turned cold, and he commanded the black dragon to pounce forward. It opened its mouth and spat out a terrifying flame. The flame's speed was much faster than before, and a huge fireball was also spat out. These elders were so frightened that they hurriedly fled to the side, but their speed was still a bit too slow. A loud bang rang out, and the area where the elder was just standing was blasted into a deep pit, turning into a sea of flames. The black dragon's flame was too overbearing. It didn't know any martial arts, but its huge physique and terrifying flame was enough to crush everything. Ding! Successfully killed the divine inscription manor's elder. Reward: 270. 000 EXP, 3300 crazy point, 100 SBS, 500 divine rune proficiency points. Obtained martial art autumn moon palm, soul separation art. Obtained divine rune paper, heaven feather pen, mid-grade soul tool. Ding! Successfully killed the divine inscription manor's elder. Reward: 260. 000 EXP. So high sin value? It seems that you have done a lot of evil, otherwise, your sin value wouldn't be so high. Tianyun sneered. I can't miss this opportunity, there are so many divine rune proficiency points. Immediately, he opened the shop and bought a 5 times proficiency card, a 2 times sin value card, and even an experience card. All of a sudden, a lot of experience cards stacked up. He spent hundreds of thousands of crazy point in the merchant shop, but he didn't care at all. The only thing that mattered was leveling up, and the crazy point was for this. Kill them. Tianyun didn't hesitate to control the black dragon to step on the elder's body. The elder who was seriously injured by the black dragon was instantly trampled to death. Ding! Successfully killed the divine inscription manor's elder. Reward: 1,200,000 EXP, 16,500 crazy point, 200 SBS, 2,500 divine rune proficiency points. Obtained martial art. After using the experience card, the data suddenly exploded. It was an all-around improvement. This was the feeling he needed. If this continues, he can upgrade from Advanced Divine Rune Proficiency to Grandmaster Divine Rune Proficiency. Along the way, Tianyun completely crushed the Divine Rune Proficiency, none of them could resist, and quickly fled in all directions. He doesn't care about ordinary disciples. After all, the Divine Rune Manor is not controlled by them, but these elders. Elder and deacon level he can kill as soon as he sees them, he can't stop. Want to escape? Tianyun took out the ice divine bow, aimed at the fleeing elder, and shot an arrow. Shio! The arrow easily penetrated the elder. The elder let out a blood-curdling screech before turning into an ice sculpture. Moreover, it was a dead ice sculpture. His body was completely frozen, and naturally looked like an ice sculpture. Immediately after being trampled by the black dragon, the elder turned into a pile of ice slag. When Tianyun continued to kill, suddenly the surrounding sky changed color, layers of black clouds filled the entire sky, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. At the same time, a huge array lit up on the ground. Obviously, Tianyun stepped into the array. Kaboom! At this time, a thick lightning fell from the sky, directly hit Yi Tianyun, completely covering him. Let's see if you can survive. It's not that easy to deal with our divine rune manner. The elder's expression was hideous. When they fled here, he activated the heavenly lightning array. Dense lightning immediately gathered and struck the intruder. But immediately, his eyes full of hatred turned into horror. He looked at Yi Tianyun, who was struck by lightning, and there was no problem at all. Thank you for your hospitality. This lightning energy is not bad. I got a lot of EXP. Tianyun looked at him coldly. The power of the heavenly lightning array is not bad. If his cultivation was lower, he would definitely be injured, just like last time when he saved Xiao Qingxian. Chapter 259. As a sect that specializes in practicing divine runes, it is normal to have several large arrays. Among them, the power of the heavenly thunder array is very strong. The lightning that struck down was comparable to the attack of a 5th or 6th level core transformation stage cultivator, but for him, it was no pressure at all. In an instant, he swallowed the lightning into his body and turned it into a huge wave of experience. Of course, compared to the experience he needed to level up now, it was only a drop in the ocean. No, impossible. Go to hell, go to hell. The elder madly controlled the large array, making the heavenly thunder array operate crazily. The sky flashed with lightning and thunder, and continued to strike down crazily, constantly bombarding his body. Boom, boom. Absorb it for me. Yi Tianyun stretched out his hand and guided the lightning into his body, turning it into a lot of experience. 580,000 experience points, 59 experience points, 570,000 experience points. His experience continued to jump. Under the 58-fold experience boost, his experience was exploding. Correspondingly, under the effect of the crazy mode proficiency card, his proficiency suddenly exploded. 5 times proficiency card, plus 2 times proficiency of crazy mode, a total of 7 times proficiency. However, to increase proficiency of divine rune proficiency, only the proficiency card has an effect. Under normal circumstances, the 2 times proficiency in crazy mode is not applicable. It is only applicable to weapon proficiency and martial arts proficiency. Successfully upgraded Absorbing Star's great technique to high-grade Earth-level martial arts. At this time, the Absorbing Star's great technique finally broke through to high-grade Earth-level martial arts, and the original power of absorption suddenly soared, from the original 6 times, exploded to the effect of 18 times. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Like a huge whirlpool, the lightning around it was sucked in, and even the black clouds in the sky were madly absorbed by it. However, due to the limitations of the Dark North Divine Art, the experience absorbed was still about the same. After all, it was the Dark North Divine Art, not the Absorbing Star's great technique. The Absorbing Star's great technique only greatly enhanced the suction. Whether you can absorb it or not, it will all be absorbed. But after a while, the Heavenly Thunder Array could not release lightning. This kind of large array also needs to be relieved. The energy provided by spirit stones and other energy is gone, so after the absorption, there is no lightning. What, no more? Yi Tianyun looked down at the clan elders in the distance, scaring them out of their wits. Such a powerful heavenly lightning formation had no effect on him at all? He's not human at all. There's no effect at all. What kind of power is this? They were all stunned. This was the heavenly lightning formation that they were so proud of. As long as it wasn't a super expert, it would be able to strike anyone to death. However, this young man in front of them didn't seem to be affected at all. Die! Yi Tianyun raised his Ice Frost Divine Bow and quickly pulled the bowstring. With a wung sound, 3 blue ice arrows pierced through the air. The opponent didn't even have time to dodge and was pierced through by the ice arrows. 3 birds with 1 arrow. Successfully killed Divine Rune Mansion's Elder. Reward, 1, 100. 000 EXP, 150. 000 Crazy Point, 200 SPs, 2500 Divine Rune Proficiency. Obtained Absolute Soul Finger, Moon Curling Divine Art. Reward, Divine Rune Paper, Imperial Spirit Brush. Successfully killed Divine Rune Mansion's Deacon. Reward, 560,000 EXP, 11,000 crazy point, 150 SPs, 1,000 divine rune proficiency. Obtained absolute soul finger, flame divine art. Reward, divine rune paper, imperial spirit brush. Ding successfully killed 3 birds with 1 arrow, directly killing the divine rune mansion's elder and deacon. Even without them, the heavenly lightning formation is still running. It just needs to be charged for a while, and after a while, it will continue to strike. Explode! Tianyun controlled the black dragon to step forward, and with a loud bang, a deep pit appeared on the ground, and then it continued to step down, and another big pit appeared on the ground. Soon the whole ground collapsed, and the black clouds above completely dissipated, which means that the heavenly lightning formation is destroyed. Since he wants to destroy the entire divine rune mansion, then he must completely destroy all the buildings here. After he destroyed the heavenly lightning array, he continued to kill his way over. Other than killing the elders, he also kept on collecting the treasures. He couldn't let this go. What kind of situation is the fastest way to get resources? Of course, it is to plunder the other party's resources. The Netherworld Empire and Divine Rune Mansion have done this kind of thing too many times. When he destroyed all the buildings along the way, most of the people here have already escaped. The Divine Rune Mansion's disciples are not that many, and the number of disciples who cultivate divine runes is relatively small, so it is easy to clean them up. The most important thing is that they have escaped, so there is not much value in killing them. Some of the Divine Rune Mansion's disciples are still ignorant, so they are innocent. Only those upper echelon elders were the main culprits. There is a strange aura? Tianyun felt that something is wrong, and a natural sense of crisis came from his heart. Although his cultivation is not weak, it does not mean that he is absolutely invincible, so he must be careful. At this time, he immediately opened the heavenly eye, and the situation around him immediately appeared in front of him. There is a large formation set up in the surrounding houses, and when the houses are connected together, it is a very special formation. This is the God Exterminating Formation. This God Exterminating Formation is not really able to exterminate the gods, but the level of naming it is very high. What God Exterminating Formation, what divine art, is actually Earth-level martial art. Every creator hoped that their own martial arts would become a deity technique. Therefore, the deity techniques obtained from killing the elders were mostly middle-grade Earth-level martial arts. At most, they were only upper-grade. How could this be called a deity technique? However, the God Exterminating Formation in front of him is very powerful. Looking at the surging energy in the formation, coupled with the appraisal eye, the effect instantly appeared in front of him. God Exterminating Formation. Gather all the energy in the formation and bombard it, easily destroy the enemy, can only attack once a week. The power reaches the peak of the core transformation stage. As expected of the God-slaying formation, its power was much stronger than the Sky Lightning formation. When the condensed power blasted over, its penetrative power was very strong. If he rashly walks in, he will definitely be blasted into pieces. Interesting, is it trying to lure me in? Tianyun looked up and vaguely felt that there are a few hidden auras in front of him. It seems that they are waiting for him to pass. He grinned, but it is a pity that you met me. This God Exterminating Formation is useless. Immediately, Tianyun rode the black dragon and rushed forward, and the deacons and elders who were hiding in the distance were stunned. Chapter 260. Look, he is really going to rush over. It seems that he thinks that he is too strong, so he doesn't care about anything else. Our God-slaying formation can kill even a late-stage core transformation stage powerhouse. Their expressions were ferocious, and their heartbeats accelerated a few times. They were ready to witness a powerhouse and a black dragon die under this God-slaying formation. Tianyun didn't seem to be on guard at all, and he continued to destroy everything along the way. The moment he stepped into the God-slaying formation, the entire God-slaying formation lit up. Almost instantly, a huge eye condensed in the air and slowly opened its eyes. A terrifying gray light beam burst out towards him at an amazing speed. Shoo! This gray light beam was like the light of death that came to the human world. Wherever it went, everything withered or quickly decayed. The terrifying corrosive power was the strongest power that Tianyun had ever seen. However, no matter how strong it was at most the power of a peak core transformation stage cultivator. The data in the appraisal eye proved that he could completely resist this attack. 7. 3 million combat power. Absorbing Star's great technique, activate. Tianyun's eyes flashed with a cold light, and a terrifying vortex appeared in his palm, which suddenly swallowed the god-slaying light. He swallowed as much as he could. The excess was melted away. This was the strength of the Absorbing Star's great technique. It could dissolve the opponent's power. If the body could withstand it, it would absorb it, and if it couldn't, it would dissolve it. Under his frenzied devouring, he managed to forcefully endure the god extermination light. Just like the lightning from before, it was devoured by him. It was still a little difficult, but given his current situation, it wasn't too difficult. This move came very quickly, and it also left very quickly. After persisting for around 10 seconds, the huge ice slowly closed its eyes with some unwillingness in its eyes. Soon after, it disappeared into thin air. Tianyun's situation didn't change, and he was unscathed. With the help of his Xian Tian divine art, it was difficult for him to be injured, and he completely absorbed the god-slaying light. He absorbed this energy? They were all stunned. Such a terrifying god-exterminating light was absorbed just like that. They couldn't believe it. Others who came into contact with this god of destruction light would turn into ashes, but in front of him, they were all absorbed. This was too terrifying. Following that, a few ice arrows pierced through the thick walls and even pierced through them. Their eyes widened, and they were immediately frozen by the ice arrows. They no longer had any signs of life. After Tianyun put away the ice divine bow, his eyes were cold as he said, "Flatten this place." The black dragon roared furiously and stomped on the ground. It continuously spewed out flames, burning the entire place. The god-exterminating array was quickly destroyed by him. Wherever he went, there was nothing that wasn't destroyed. As he continued to go deeper, the sky was once again shrouded by dark clouds. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the dark clouds, surging towards him. In the dark clouds, 2 old men flew towards him. Each of them had dazzling divine runes on their bodies. Their divine runes were engraved on their bodies, making them look like the god of thunder. Lightning constantly fell from the dark clouds and poured into their bodies, lighting up the divine runes on their bodies. The terrifying aura of a core transformation stage powerhouse was constantly oppressing them. It's the old ancestor. The old ancestor has come out. The deacons who were hiding in the corner shouted loudly. They immediately felt relieved when they saw the old ancestor. After all, these were the 2 strongest old ancestors in the divine inscription palace. I don't know which force you are from, but you have disturbed our seclusion and destroyed our divine inscription palace. That's a capital crime. Ancestor Heavenly Thunder's voice rumbled like thunder. Just his voice alone was like a wave of sound waves that swept towards them, causing lightning to flash and thunder to rumble. It was deafening. Ancestor Heavenly Thunder, cultivation level, 8th level of core transformation stage. His whole body is engraved with thunder attribute divine runes. He can burst out extremely strong thunder power. Current comprehensive combat power, 5. 15 million. Weakness, earth attribute suppresses and restrains him. Martial art, thunder flash, heavenly thunder spell. Possible things to drop include thunder flash, heavenly thunder spell, thunder divine runes, lightning power, old ancestor tyrant thunder, cultivation level, peak of core transformation stage. His whole body is engraved with thunder attribute divine runes. He can burst out extremely strong thunder power. Current comprehensive combat power, 6. 5 million. Weakness, earth attribute suppresses and restrains him. Martial art. Both of them knew the same thing. The only difference was their cultivation level. Both of them could control thunder attribute force. They specialized in thunder attribute force, which was considered a relatively special type of thunder attribute force. Their combat power was also heaven-defying. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's combat power was as high as 5 million. He didn't even use it, but it had already reached such an amazing level. Obviously, the Phantom of the Netherworld Great Emperor released before was at best a strike of a peak core transformation stage powerhouse. It couldn't release the real strength of a peak core transformation stage powerhouse. Tianyun had already expected this, so he didn't feel surprised. This is the real strength of a peak core transformation stage powerhouse. Tianyun was a little excited. He didn't feel the slightest bit of fear in his heart. So what if the Netherworld Great Emperor was at the peak of core transformation stage? Death penalty? Tianyun sneered. He took out a talisman and crushed it. Then, the Phantom of the Netherworld Great Emperor appeared in the air and looked at the ground and the powerhouse in front of him. Netherworld Great Emperor. They were shocked after seeing this scene. Even the disciples of the Divine Inscription Mansion who were watching from afar were shocked. How could the Netherworld Great Emperor appear in this place? How can you have the talisman of the Netherworld Great Emperor? Old Ancestor Heavenly Thunder was shocked. Are you from the Netherworld Empire? What do you think? This was the effect that Tianyun wanted. He wanted to confuse everyone and make them think that he was from the Netherworld Empire. When the time comes, those disciples who escaped from the Divine Inscription Mansion would spread the news that the Netherworld Great Emperor had sent people to destroy the Divine Inscription Mansion. In the next moment, the Netherworld Great Emperor released his most powerful attack towards the two old ancestors, Netherworld Divine Palm. The attack was still the same, the power was still the same. Old Ancestor Heavenly Thunder stretched out his hand and pointed a finger at the Netherworld Divine Palm. A lightning bolt struck towards the Netherworld Divine Palm and turned it into ashes. This was the difference between the two of them. Although Old Ancestor Heavenly Thunder was not at the peak of core transformation stage, it was still not a problem for him to destroy the Phantom of the Netherworld Great Emperor. If you are from the Netherworld Empire, then what did our Divine Rune Mansion do wrong? Why did they send you here to suppress our Divine Rune Mansion? They looked at Tianyun coldly and said, Chapter 261. Ignorant, overbearing, ruthless? Ancestor Heavenly Thunder was stunned for a moment, then he sneered, Who can be more overbearing than the Netherworld Empire? I don't know if you are a member of the Netherworld Empire or not, but even if you are, you have to pay the price for killing so many of our people. After saying that, Ancestor Heavenly Thunder slammed his palm down. The dense divine runes on his body flashed crazily, and the power of thunder and lightning quickly gathered in the air, forming a huge shadow of thunder and lightning on the surface of his body. Under the superposition of the power of thunder and lightning, his combat power skyrocketed. 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, 6 million. Finally, after increasing his combat power by a few million, he was able to suppress Tianyun's strength. After all, an old ancestor was an old ancestor. The power of these old bastards was not just for show. The ministers he had met before were not even as powerful as these patriarchs. They were simply too powerful, to an unimaginable degree. It was inevitable that Tianyun's strength would surpass Tianyun's. Even if Tianyun's strength was 8 times stronger, Tianyun would still be easily suppressed. His cultivation level was too low. His cultivation level was only at the first level of core transformation stage, but his cultivation level was only at the 7th or 8th level of core transformation stage. It was not as simple as stacking 8 times of his strength to match the strength of the 8th level of core transformation stage. The gap between Tianyun and Tianyun was getting bigger and bigger. Tianyun's strength was already higher than Tianyun's. Even if you have a divine beast, you will still die. The divine runes on Ancestor Heavenly Thunder's body flashed, and then a long spear appeared in his hand. In an instant, it seemed like he was not holding a spear, but a lightning bolt. Thunder flash. In the next moment, a ray of lightning shot out from Heavenly Thunder Ancestor's eyes and instantly turned into a bolt of lightning that pierced through the sky. It was so fast that it really turned into a bolt of lightning that slashed down heavily, cutting through the sky. 9 million. 5 million. 10 million. 11 million. The power of the thunder flash exploded, and with the power of the weapon, Lee Hyun-yun's combat power instantly soared to 11 million. The crazy data was jumping in front of his eyes, shocking him to the core. Lee Hyun-yun raised the Ice Frost Divine Bow in his hand and instantly pulled the bowstring to its maximum. A thick ice arrow appeared on the bowstring, much thicker than any of the previous ones. This is the effect of consuming Crazy Point, Frozen Fury. The crazy superposition of double strength was already equivalent to the Sword of Infinity, even stronger than the swordless sword. Whiz! The entire Ice Divine Bow shone to the extreme, and the energy on this ice arrow flickered crazily. Its battle power soared crazily, and all of a sudden, it jumped to an even more terrifying number, 15 million battle power. Crush, completely crush this heavenly thunder ancestor who was rushing over. Frost Fury! Swish, swish, swish! When the frost arrow shot out, it instantly froze the surrounding air. The temperature directly dropped to freezing point, and everywhere it went was frozen. When it shot out, it instantly turned into a huge phoenix, piercing towards Heavenly Thunder Ancestor. Heavenly Thunder Ancestor's face changed. He felt a sense of crisis. He wanted to escape, but found that he was completely locked, and there was no way to escape. Immediately, the Thunder Divine rune on his body was released instantly, and his power surged again. Originally, he wanted to test Lee Hyun-yun, but he did not expect this terrifying power to exceed his imagination. Boom! The two collided together, and Heavenly Thunder Ancestor was blasted out. A large area of his body was frozen, and many places were directly frostbitten. The overbearing Frost Fury directly suppressed Heavenly Thunder Ancestor. Bastard! Great Ancestor Heavenly Thunder roared, and the divine runes on his body lit up again. The frozen ice on his body instantly shattered into ice shards, and his body regained its mobility. However, the arrow had already injured him. Several parts of his body had already turned pitch black. It was obvious that he had suffered frostbite. Swish, swish, swish. 3 consecutive ice arrows pierced through the air. This time, it wasn't the Frozen Fury. The Frozen Fury had a cooldown, so he had to slow it down a little. The entire process took a full 5 minutes, which was quite impressive. Therefore, in order to resist Heavenly Thunder Ancestor, Lee Hyun-yun can only choose to use ordinary attacks, but the power is also amazing. Each arrow has a battle power of 7 or 8 million, and the power is quite amazing. Get out of my way! Heavenly Thunder Ancestor roared, and swept his spear across, shattering the incoming frost arrows. They did not harm him at all, as they were too weak, and naturally, he was easily killed. Heavenly Thunder, leave him to me. Lightning flashed in the eyes of Tyrannical Thunder Ancestor, who was next to him, and he was ready to help. Tyrannical Thunder, don't move, let me deal with this kid. Heavenly Thunder Ancestor said angrily. I don't believe that I can't beat a little kid. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to quell the anger in my heart. I will let him know that this era is not his era, but our era. Okay, I'll leave him to you. Tyrannical Thunder Ancestor wanted to help, as his strength is obviously stronger. But Heavenly Thunder Ancestor himself needs to save face, and he doesn't believe that he can't deal with a young junior. This is really too shameful. Immediately, Heavenly Thunder Ancestor's power rose again, and the divine runes on his body completely lit up, as if they were ignited. His battle power also rose, and suddenly soared to 13 million battle power. From the original 5 million battle power, it exploded to 13 million battle power, and this is the effect of martial arts and weapons, plus the divine runes on his body. There is a significant bonus. This is definitely an unprecedented superposition, and the use of power to the extreme. The power of a divine rune master is very strong, and anyone who thinks that they are only cultivators who can inscribe divine runes is too naive. Through special means, divine runes can be inscribed on the body, but the side effects are also great, and the effect is also amazing. The foundation of the divine rune mansion is really strong, but it is a pity that they provoked Lee Hyun-yun. As expected of an elder of the divine rune mansion, this is the power of a true core transformation expert, Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed a few cold light, and immediately mobilized the things in the inventory, and soon the giant sword, Titan God armor, and Titan leg guards were put on his body, and instantly activated the set's effect. Ding, successfully equipped Titan God armor. Additional effect increases defense by 5 times. When in a crisis, a layer of armor can appear to block attacks. Ding, successfully equipped Titan God armor. Additional effect increases speed by 5 times, movement speed on the ground. When hit, the speed instantly soars to 10 times. Ding, successfully equipped Titan God armor. Additional effect increases strength by 3 times. The more powerful the combo, the stronger the strength. The maximum effect stacks up to 5 times. Ding, successfully equipped Titan God armor. Additional effect increases strength by 5 times. Attack speed by 2 times, defense by 2 times. Ding, successfully equipped Titan God armor. Additional effect increases strength by 5 times, attack speed by 2 times, defense by 2 times. After successfully equipping this set, his body flashed with a special light, and his power reached a whole new level. At this moment, his battle power has soared to 13 million battle power. Chapter 262. After Yi Tianyun put on the suit, his overall combat power has been superimposed to 1,300, which is almost the same as Heavenly Thunder Ancestor's combat power. The enhanced strength mentioned here can't be superimposed with crazy mode. If it can be superimposed, then it will be really terrifying. Of course, his current strength has reached a very amazing level. His combat power has increased by 5 million, which is already very heaven-defying. Come on! A cold light flashed in Yi Tianyun's eyes. He is holding a huge sword that is more than 6 meters long. It looks really huge. Just the weight of the sword alone has the power of tens of thousands of genes. When they saw it, they were stunned. It is rare to see someone use such a huge sword. The reason is very simple, that is, it is too heavy and not very flexible. The next moment he equipped the phoenix wings and directly rushed towards Heavenly Thunder Ancestor. His speed is too fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Heavenly Thunder Ancestor. There is no need for Heavenly Thunder Ancestor to attack. Yi Tianyun has already arrived in front of him. Go to hell! Tianyun roared and waved the huge sword in his hand and fiercely chopped down. Heavenly Thunder Ancestor is unwilling to give up his responsibility and waved the long spear in his hand to block the attack. Clang! A violent sound exploded in the air, accompanied by a burst of energy waves, swept out in all directions, blowing away the rubble. In just one move, the two of them had actually fought to a draw, neither of them having the upper hand. What a strong strength! Isn't this kid's strength a bit too terrifying? Heavenly Thunder Ancestor was horrified. This strength is really too terrifying, it is actually on par with him. His body is a little old, but it is not too bad, especially with the blessing of the divine runes. He is much stronger than most of the core transformation stage powerhouses. But when he collided with Yi Tianyun, it was an amazing draw. This made him wonder if Yi Tianyun's cultivation was at the 8th or 9th level of the core transformation stage. Otherwise, how could he be so strong? The way they judge a person's cultivation level is very simple, that is, they judge it by the strength and aura, but Yi Tianyun's aura is too strong, under the crazy mode. Whether it is his strength or aura, it seems that he has reached the late stage of core transformation. Especially his current strength, it made him wonder if Yi Tianyun's cultivation was at the 8th or 9th level of the core transformation stage. If that was the case, then it would be heaven-defying. How could the Netherworld Empire have such a monstrous genius? There were many geniuses in the Netherworld Empire, but the young man in front of him was too heaven-defying. Yi Tianyun didn't think too much about it. He swung the gigantic sword in his hand with all his might and slashed again without any hesitation. Clang! Another ferocious strike came down. This time, Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was sent flying slightly inferior to Yi Tianyun. This shocked him. This power could still be increased? Has this kid not reached his limit yet? Patriarch Heavenly Thunder's heart trembled. Without waiting for him to think more, Yi Tianyun slashed down again. Patriarch Heavenly Thunder couldn't dodge at all. He could only continue to wave his spear to block. Clang! This time, Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was sent flying for a short distance. His hand was numb, and his strength increased again. Lee Tianyun didn't stop at all. He continued to attack, his power increased again, and the more he attacked, the stronger his power became. Originally, his combat power was 13 million, but now it has been superimposed to 13.8 million, which suddenly increased his combat power by 800,000. This was the effect of combo slash. The more he attacked consecutively, the fiercer he would become, causing his strength to increase greatly. Clang! Once again, Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was sent flying for a long distance. He almost couldn't hold the spear in his hand. What a terrifying power! Kill him! Patriarch Heavenly Thunder's heart trembled. If this continues, he will die. He didn't want to die. When he encountered the fear of death, he immediately threw away his previous face and asked Patriarch Heavenly Thunder for help. Kid, don't be arrogant. Patriarch Heavenly Thunder also had a long spear in his hand. He aimed at Lee Tianyun and pierced him. He couldn't stand it anymore. Even if Patriarch Heavenly Thunder didn't ask for help, he would have already taken action. He can see that Lee Tianyun is getting stronger and stronger. Patriarch Heavenly Thunder's situation is gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. If this continues, his companions will be in great danger. Under the encirclement of the two, Lee Tianyun's face sank. Patriarch Heavenly Thunder's power is stronger. If they surround him, it will be difficult for him to deal with them. But he has reached his goal. Titan's Wrath. In the next moment, Lee Tianyun waved the giant sword in his hand, consumed 5,000 crazy point, and slashed at Patriarch Heavenly Thunder. An extreme blade light broke out from the sword and turned into a real giant sword that pierced through the sky. 18 million combat power. Boom! No! Patriarch Heavenly Thunder screamed. Looking at the giant sword that pierced through him, he let out a scream. The shining divine rune on his body and the long spear in his hand couldn't resist this terrifying sword. It's much stronger than his current strength, he can't resist it at all. Heavenly Thunder! Patriarch Heavenly Thunder roared, but it's too late. The saber light slashed down viciously, splitting Patriarch Heavenly Thunder in half. Then, he was devoured by the saber light and turned into nothingness. Ding! Successfully killed Patriarch Heavenly Thunder. Reward 3. 1 million EXP, 50,000 crazy point, 2,000 SPs, 10,000 divine rune mastery points. Obtained martial art Thunder Flash, Heavenly Thunder's secret art. Obtained items, Heavenly Thunder Divine Spear, God Destruction Array, Heavenly Thunder Divine Bead, rare. Successfully killed an enemy above my level. Reward 30 million EXP, 100,000 crazy point, 1,000 SPs, 1 enhanced lottery ticket. Ding! Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was hacked to death. After being hacked to death, Lee Tianyun quickly flew back, and at the same time, he took out the Ice Divine Bow, aimed at the angry Patriarch Heavenly Thunder, and shot an arrow. Its power is the same as before, it's amazing. But Patriarch Heavenly Thunder is much stronger than Patriarch Heavenly Thunder. He slammed the long spear in his hand. Boom! The Ice Divine Bow smashed into pieces, but Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was still frozen by the extreme cold. It's just that the effect on Patriarch Heavenly Thunder is not big, it's all blocked by the divine rune on his body. He only suffered a little frostbite, almost negligible. How dare you kill Patriarch Heavenly Thunder? You're dead. Patriarch Heavenly Thunder was furious, completely furious. The heavenly thunder in the sky continued to gather and poured into his body. His combat power rose crazily. It seems that the heavenly thunder art he is running is more powerful than Patriarch Heavenly Thunder. Chapter 263. Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder's battle prowess skyrocketed. It was now 3 times his original battle prowess. Moreover, this number had not reached its limit yet. But at least his current strength was enough to put some pressure on Lee Tianyun. I don't care whether you are from the Netherworld Empire or some other force. You must die for killing Dai. Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder was furious. His voice exploded in the sky like thunder. many disciples below were stunned. They were not shocked by the power of old ancestor tyrannical thunder, but by Yi Tianyun's strength. Just now, old ancestor tyrannical thunder was killed by a single sword strike. This was simply unbelievable. This was their old ancestor, an invincible existence, but he was killed by a young man. Wasn't this a little too strong? Yi Tianyun looked at him coldly. Old ancestor tyrannical thunder was really powerful, but at this point he had no choice but to fight. Is that so? For me, the divine rune mansion will also be destroyed today, Yi Tianyun said as he held the giant sword horizontally. Then let's see who will be killed first. Old ancestor tyrannical thunder had already gathered his strength. He brandished the long spear in his hand and rushed forward. With the help of the power of thunder and lightning, his speed increased a lot. It was as if he had turned into a bolt of lightning. All of his power was condensed in the long spear. Thunder flash. Kaboom! Along with the sound of thunder, old ancestor tyrannical thunder threw the spear with all his might. The spear in his hand turned into a thunder dragon, roaring angrily. This time, Yi Tianyun didn't choose to defend passively. Instead, he brandished his giant sword and rushed towards old ancestor tyrant thunder with all his might. Heaven-raising slash. An attack that was as fast as lightning smashed forward. Thanks to the sword's extremely long blade, the attack landed on old ancestor tyrant lightning's body. Clang. The two weapons collided with each other, producing a loud noise. However, this time, it was Yi Tianyun who was sent flying back a little. Old ancestor tyrannical thunder's strength was too overwhelming. The divine runes on his body had already shown to the extreme, and it seemed as if they were coordinating with his anger as they fiercely attacked Yi Tianyun. Go to hell. While resisting, old ancestor tyrannical thunder continued to rush over and instantly closed the distance between them. At this moment, Yi Tianyun did not give up. He still fiercely swung the giant sword, intending to cut tyrannical thunder ancestor into two. Clang. Old ancestor tyrannical thunder once again parried this move. However, this time, Yi Tianyun was not sent flying too far away. Thanks to the combo, his strength had increased slightly for a short period of time. However, this little improvement was meaningless to tyrannical thunder ancestor. After parrying the attack, old ancestor tyrannical thunder had already arrived in front of Yi Tianyun. He brandished his spear and stabbed at Yi Tianyun. A thunder dragon was released from the spearhead, turning into a huge dragon head that bit towards Yi Tianyun. When the spear was about to touch Yi Tianyun, the sky-raising divine armor on his body emitted a burst of light, forming a thick armor that blocked the attack, preventing the hard spearhead from advancing even half an inch. At this critical moment, the sky-raising divine armor activated its defensive mode, forming a thick armor that blocked the attack. What kind of effect is this? Old ancestor tyrannical thunder found that he could not stab his spear into Yi Tianyun's body no matter how hard he tried. His extremely powerful attack was actually blocked just like that. Before he could think further, Yi Tianyun's combo attack came again, fiercely slashing down. Old ancestor tyrannical thunder had no choice but to block it and suffered another heavy slash. Clang! Old ancestor tyrannical thunder was sent flying a little. Under this collision of strength, Yi Tianyun was actually slightly stronger. In terms of strength, he had slightly surpassed old ancestor tyrannical thunder. Again! Yi Tianyun roared and once again brandished the sky-raising divine sword, continuing to fiercely attack old ancestor tyrannical thunder. The armor on his body released a protective shield to resist the opponent's violent strength. If it wasn't for the effect of the sky-raising divine armor, he would have been stabbed by the spear. As the two fought crazily, Yi Tianyun's strength rose sharply, and he actually dared to fight old ancestor tyrannical thunder to a draw. At this time, the disciples below were even more shocked. How could there be such a heaven-defying existence that even their strongest old ancestor could fight to a draw? Their old ancestor was at the peak of the core transformation stage, and he was half a step into the void spirit stage. How could he lose to a young man? Clang! After a blow, old ancestor tyrannical thunder was bounced back, and his hand that was tightly holding the long spear began to numb. His opponent attacked crazily, but his attack couldn't cause even the slightest bit of damage. His attack was blocked by the protective shield, and he simply couldn't attack. This made him panic for a while. If this continued, he would definitely die. Little did he know that Yi Tianyun also didn't want to drag the battle. The protective shield on his body had a time limit, and the most important thing was that he could only increase his strength by attacking crazily. Just a trivial junior, don't be arrogant. Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder roared, and several divine veins on his body suddenly detonated and exploded on his body. Then, blood continuously flowed from his body, dyeing the ground red. In an instant, his imposing aura rose a lot, and his body swelled a lot. His hair stood on end, and the power of thunder and lightning was completely released. If he looked like a thunder god before, then now he looked even more like a thunder god. Old Ancestor is consuming his blood essence. This time, he really has to go all out. I hope Old Ancestor will kill this bastard, otherwise, the Divine Rune Mansion will be finished. Old Ancestor has released his full strength, so he can definitely crush that kid. These attendants worshipped their Old Ancestor to the extreme, but it was indeed so. After burning his blood essence and releasing the power of the divine veins on his body, his strength once again increased by a level. This was more effective than taking any Berserk Elixir, but the effect of Berserk Elixir was always limited. This was a problem of medicinal efficacy, and it was impossible to apply to all cultivations. It would have some effect on those with low cultivation, but the difficulty would not increase too much for those with high cultivation. Very well, you have completely infuriated me. I admit that you have some strength, but everything ends here. Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder's thick palm clenched the long spear, and dazzling lightning flashed in his eyes. His strength had increased a lot, from the original combat power of 16 million to 20 million. Under the situation of burning his blood essence and releasing the divine veins, his strength soared to 20 million, which was simply a crazy mode. Yi Tianyun felt great pressure, and the pressure was even greater than before. Was the gap between the two really too big? It seemed that it would be difficult to quickly make up for it. Chapter 264. Titan's Wrath. In the face of Old Ancestor's anger, Yi Shiwen didn't respond to him with words. Instead, he slashed down heavily with his strongest attack. The cooldown time was just right. A giant sword pierced through the sky and heavily slashed down towards Old Ancestor. A dazzling light was released and enveloped the ground. Boom! A heavy blow fell from the sky and heavily pressed on the ground. A deafening sound rang out as if the earth was about to be torn in half. At this time, the light on Yi Tianyun's armor disappeared. The protection effect of this shield can only last for a short time, it can't last for too long. However, it was already amazing that he could withstand such a powerful attack from a core transformation stage powerhouse. After the loud noise, a lightning struck out from the light at an even faster speed. It was so fast that Yi Tianyun couldn't dodge it. Go to hell! Old Ancestor roared. The light of the long spear in his hand shone to the extreme. All of his power was concentrated on this point. A strong sense of crisis surged from the bottom of Yi Tianyun's heart. He had a special premonition that even if he used the Xian Tian divine art, his body would still be penetrated after being stabbed by this spear. Yi Tianyun's pupils shrank, and in the next moment, his body disappeared in place. Tyrant Thunder Old Ancestor's crazy attack missed, and an extreme lightning struck the ground directly, followed by an unfathomable big hole in the ground. Such a terrifying penetrating force made people speechless. However, the big pit next to him was even more shocking. This was the big pit left by Yi Tianyun's Titan's Wrath. The damage to Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was not very big, but it was not small either. There were many wounds all over his body, and blood was constantly flowing out. No one knew which ones were released by Old Ancestor himself and which ones were hit by Yi Tianyun. The most important thing was, where did Yi Tianyun go? Yi Tianyun suddenly disappeared, which caught Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder off guard. Yi Tianyun actually dodged his attack. While he was shocked, a cold light flashed behind him. A sense of crisis of death surged from his heart, causing him to subconsciously dodge to the side. However, all of this seemed to be too slow. A heavy sword slashed down, chopping off a small half of his body. One of his arms spun dozens of times in the air before finally falling to the ground. It looked very bloody. At the same time, a large amount of blood sprayed out from his severed arm. However, it was quickly stopped. Patriarch Tyrant Thunder had used his martial power to stop the blood flow. Not only was it missing an arm, but almost half of its body was missing as well. It was a ghastly sight. Fortunately, he dodged quickly, or he would really be finished. But before he could catch his breath, a sharp arrow of extreme frost pierced through the air, sweeping up waves of cold air. Damn it. Old Ancestor's face was pale. He waved his long spear to block it. Fortunately, it was not his hand that was cut off, otherwise he would have to block it with his bare hands. Bang! The ice arrow was stabbed by his spear, and the two caused another explosion, but the ice sword rolled up a burst of cold air, sweeping the area within a mile, turning it into a world of ice and snow. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder also felt the power of the extreme cold ice. This is the ice wrath that consumed 5,000 crazy points. How can the effect be bad? He waited for the cooldown to end and immediately used it. He didn't even pause for a second. If it was before, there would be no problem, but now that he was injured, it was different. Yi Tianyun's expression was cold. Holding the ice divine bow in his hand, he couldn't stop the continuous attacks. Fortunately, he had teleportation, otherwise it would be difficult to avoid the attack. Then he continued to shoot ice arrows, several of them in a row. He wanted to exhaust Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder to death. His close combat strength may not be able to defeat Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder, but this long-range attack can definitely slowly kill him. Although Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder is injured, he is still cautious and does not attack close to him. Bang bang bang! The 3 ice arrows were pierced by the spear, but the burst of cold air continued to roll, freezing Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder in a layer. Just after shooting, Yi Tianyun did not wait for Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder to take a breather. He pulled the bowstring and shot 3 more arrows. 3 consecutive shots, continuously attacking Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder. He did not intend to stop, he just aimed at Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder. Fight me again if you have the ability. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder roared and pierced the ice arrow coming at him. Even if he is injured, he can still persist. I am not fighting you now. Yi Tianyun pulled the bowstring again, and then madly shot at Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder again. Son of a bitch. Get close and fight me. What kind of skill is attacking from such a distance? Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder roared. You don't have the ability, so you blame others for not having the ability, shameless old man. Yi Tianyun sneered, pulled the bowstring again, and then continued to attack. With this crazy attack, more and more parts of Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's body were frozen, and he is almost unable to fly. If this continues, he will die without a doubt. Old Ancestor is about to die. That kid is too despicable to attack from such a distance. What kind of skill is that? Yeah, son of a bitch. If you have the ability, come closer and attack. They clamored below, expressing their dissatisfaction with Yi Tianyun's attack. Swish, swish. 3 arrows pierced through them. Before they could react, the 3 arrows pierced through their bodies and froze them into ice sculptures. You don't have the ability, but you talk a lot of nonsense. You can't possibly say that you want your old ancestor to become younger before fighting me, or lower his cultivation to fight me, right? A bunch of trash. Yi Tianyun looked coldly at the deacons below. Just a glance was enough to scare them, and they hurriedly hid to the side, no longer daring to come out and challenge him. What fairness? That was bullshit here. His cultivation is only at the first level of core transformation stage, and the other party is at the peak of core transformation stage. How dare he talk about skill with him? If he has the ability and the other party's cultivation is the same, see if he can't cut this Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder half to death. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was forced to retreat for some distance, and his face became paler, but more than that he felt humiliated. Very good. Very good. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder said angrily, "Today, even if I die, I will drag you down with me." After saying that, he roared, and the divine inscriptions on his body completely exploded. One by one, the divine inscriptions exploded, and it looked painful. However, as the divine inscriptions exploded, his momentum did not weaken, but became stronger and stronger, and his body was also badly mutilated. Chapter 265. Since Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder could still continue to increase in power, it seemed that he was really going to go all out, and he was going all out. From the looks of it, even if Patriarch Tyrannical Thunder managed to survive, he would not be far from death or his cultivation would be crippled. The divine runes on his body exploded in order to unleash all of his power. He didn't know the specific effects, but looking at the soaring combat power, he knew that the side effects must be shocking. His body had been blown up to this extent, and it would be strange if there were no side effects. It was obvious that Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder really wanted to fight with his life on the line. If he didn't fight with his life on the line, he would die sooner or later. Titan's Fury! Yi Tianyun didn't hesitate. The moment the sky-raising giant sword's cooldown ended, he instantly erupted with his strongest power. A sword beam fell from the sky, pierced through the sky, and enveloped Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder. Bang! Suddenly, a bolt of divine lightning tore through space to blast apart the sword beam. Wielding his spear, Patriarch Tyrannical Thunder flew over at a speed several times faster than before. It did not look like he was seriously wounded at all. So, after completely detonating it, all of his strength had been greatly enhanced. He had already thrown caution to the wind and temporarily ignored his injuries. The spear in Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's hand burst into a dazzling light that illuminated the entire sky. It was very dazzling and even illuminated Yi Tianyun's line of sight. This power was simply too domineering, so domineering that it was unbelievable. His strongest attack, Titan's Wrath, had been easily pierced through. How could he possibly resist Patriarch Tyrant Thunder's attack? In the blink of an eye, Tyrannical Thunder Ancestor had already arrived in front of Yi Tianyun. He brandished the spear in his hand and ruthlessly thrust it forward. This time, Yi Tianyun's instant movement's cooldown was not up yet. None of his martial arts skills were off cooldown. He wanted to escape, but he felt that he had been completely locked on. Even with the speed boost from the Phoenix Wings, he still couldn't escape. The difference in speed between the two was too great. They were not on the same level at all. In that instant, he thought of several problems, but it seemed like there was no good way to defend against it. Even if he uses Crazy Point to upgrade Dragon God Bloodline, the help is very limited. His foundation was still very low. Even if he upgraded these martial arts, it was unlikely that he could surpass Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder in a short time. The only way was to drag things out. Patriarch Tyrannical Thunder could not afford to drag things out for too long. Xian Tian Divine Art, open. Golden Body Formula, open. Divine Dragon Bloodline, activate. He activated all 3 layers of defense and swung the giant sword in his hand to block the most terrifying attack. However, the difference in strength between him and Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was too great. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder fiercely swung his spear and a terrifying thunder dragon pierced through the air, shaking off the sky-raising greatsword in front of him. Then, countless lightning bolts crazily hacked over. Absorbing Star's great technique. Yi Tianyun frantically absorbed the energy, but the absorption effect was limited, especially when facing the berserk Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder. The pressure was too great. Boom! A bolt of divine lightning pierced through his absorption and struck his body ruthlessly. In an instant, his body was slightly charred, but it did not injure his insides. There is no effect? Yi Tianyun was stunned. He did not expect his defense to be so strong. When so many layers of defense were superimposed, he found that his defense seemed to have reached a heaven-defying level. He did not have the habit of being beaten, so he basically killed his opponents in seconds. Now, he found that the effect of such an attack was quite limited. Not to mention him, Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was also stunned. His overbearing power actually had no effect at all? Impossible, die for me. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder fiercely swung his spear and continued to stab at Tianyun. This time, Tianyun could not use the sky-raising greatsword to block the attack because Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was too close. Clang. The heavy stab of the spear did not pierce through Tianyun, but only sent him flying for a distance. A small bloodstain appeared on his body, which meant that this overbearing attack had no effect on him at all. It could only cause superficial damage. What's going on? Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was dumbfounded. Previously, the divine thunder he released did not cause any effect. Now, the entire divine spear stabbed at Yi Shiwen and only scratched his skin. There's nothing going on. It's just that your attack is too weak. Tianyun laughed. It seemed that he had underestimated his defense. Now, after testing it, he found that it was so powerful that it was heaven-defying. After the 3 ultimate martial arts erupted, the sky-raising divine armor on his body and the guardian title superimposed. This superimposed his defense to a terrifying value, but he could not see the detailed data. It was all converted into combat power. However, the increase in combat power was not much. He did not expect the real effect to be so amazing. Immediately, Tianyun raised the sky-raising greatsword and slapped it. He was no longer afraid of Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's attack and fiercely attacked. His speed might not be as fast as Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder, but he was not afraid of being beaten. He let Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder attack and continued to use his powerful defense to resist. In this crazy state of battle, Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was slapped away. This attack was too crazy. He was not afraid of getting injured at all. Naturally, the effect of his attack was different. For example, Tianyun did not dodge and continued to fight with his life on the line. Tianyun was fine after being stabbed, but it did not mean that Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was fine after being slapped. Therefore, even if his combat power was inferior, he could still force Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder to retreat. This made Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder angry and exasperated. "Brat, how can you be so hard? If a man is not hard, can he still be a man? Idiot." Tianyun sneered and continued to attack. Finally, he slapped Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder and sent him flying. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell straight from the sky. Boom! Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's whole body smashed to the ground. Under this smash, he immediately lost his breath. He could not hold on for long after activating all his power. Now that he was slapped, Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder was smashed to death. "Old Ancestor!" They cried out in alarm and wanted to go forward to save Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder. However, Tianyun had already arrived in front of Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder. "It's finally over. If it weren't for my strong defense, I wouldn't have been able to deal with you." Tianyun looked at him and sneered. Old Ancestor Tyrant Thunder's eyes widened, but he could not say a word. He desperately stimulated his power, but now he did not even have the strength to speak. Chapter 266. Tianyun slashed down with his sword. Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder couldn't resist the last strike at all. He couldn't even get up and could only watch the sword coming down on him. With a loud bang, Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder completely stopped breathing. Ding! Successfully killed Old Ancestor Tyrannical Thunder. Reward: 3 million EXP, 60,000 CPS, 1,000 SBS, 10,000 Divine Rune Mastery. Obtained Martial Art Thunder Flash, Heavenly Lightning Secret Art. Items obtained: Thunder God Spear, High-Grade Soul Tool, Heavenly Lightning Divine Armor, High-Grade Soul Tool, Heavenly Lightning Leg Guards, High-Grade Soul Tool, Divine Rune Golden Body, Rare. Ding! Successfully killed an enemy above my level. Reward: 50 million EXP, 100,000 CPS, 1,000 Divine Rune Mastery. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to second level core transformation stage. Ding! 30 times EXP card time up. Ding! 20 times EXP card time up. A series of notifications kept popping up. Finally, he successfully leveled up after killing an enemy above his level. One must know that he needs more and more EXP to level up. Even with 58 times EXP, it's only a few million EXP. In fact, this is not bad. As long as he kills a few hundred enemies, he can level up. This speed is not slow. At least it's better than those who have to cultivate for several years to barely break through a level. But Lee Tianyun feels that it's still too slow. He wants to break through faster and reach a higher level. Because he is facing a very strong enemy, he has to speed up his pace, otherwise he will be the one to die. Continue. After Lee Tianyun collected their treasures, he turned around and looked at the front coldly. The black dragon continued to destroy crazily. Originally, he could let the black dragon continue to destroy here, but he is afraid of angering these old ancestors. If they attack together or kill the black dragon alone, it will be troublesome. But he can keep the black dragon in the pet bar. Since this problem exists, he might as well let the black dragon stay next to him. Roar! After obtaining permission, the black dragon let out a furious roar and frantically stomped around, continuing to destroy the divine rune manor. Since there were no great ancestor-level existences, it was easy for them to destroy, scaring the attendants into fleeing. However, with their cultivation, how could they possibly escape? Hainin slaughtered his way through, and everywhere he went, not even a blade of grass remained. At the same time, he continued to plunder all the treasures of the divine inscription manor. In just a short period of time, this place was completely turned into ruins. From then on, the divine inscription manor no longer existed. After Lee Tianyun left, the matter of the divine rune manor exploded in the heavenly boundary continent. Although the divine inscription manor was not very strong, it was at least an upper-middle power. Yet it had been destroyed just like that. However, there was a lot of news, such as the youth riding the black dragon and the talisman of the Netherworld Great Emperor. In a short period of time, this news exploded in the Skyline continent. First, it was the Star Pavilion. When they heard the news, their faces darkened. Previously, the Wang family was killed by a youth riding a black dragon, and now, the divine inscription manor was flattened. Wasn't this too terrifying? Moreover, it was related to the Netherworld Great Emperor. Could it be someone from the Netherworld Empire? Pavilion Lord Li, this news? When Elder Yun of the Star Pavilion heard the news, he immediately reported it to Lee Tianlong. We don't need to pay attention to this matter. In the future, we don't need to inquire about this matter. Just tear down the arrest warrant. Lee Tianlong waved his hand and said, whether it's someone from the Netherworld Empire or not, the person who can destroy the divine inscription manor is definitely not a simple expert. Although we are not afraid of him, let's forget about the Wang family's matter. Presumably, the Wang family provoked him, so we can only say that they brought it upon themselves. The arrest warrant was not issued by Lee Tianlong, but by other elders. Normally, he would not care about these matters. The death of a pavilion lord, to a large extent, depended on who he provoked. At the same time, the Netherworld Empire was also in an uproar. The most important thing was the talisman of the Netherworld Great Emperor. Reporting to the Great Emperor, I am afraid that the mysterious expert who destroyed the divine inscription manor is the one who killed our ministers. But now that he has the talisman of the Great Emperor, he will make the Great Emperor suffer injustice. The ministers who were kneeling on the ground were filled with anger. They simply could not tolerate the fact that the Great Emperor had pushed the blame to them. It seems that he has some guts to put the blame on me. The Netherworld Great Emperor sat on a huge chair and squinted his eyes. A strange light flickered in his eyes. No one knew whether he was happy or angry in his heart. He immediately said in a deep voice, "Thoroughly investigate him for me. Let me know which force he belongs to. There is only one end for those who dare to oppose me." The Great Emperor tightened his grip on the chair, and with a crack sound, the side of the chair broke into pieces. The material used to make the chair was very hard, but it was easily crushed by the Great Emperor. We have some news about this before, but we didn't pay much attention to it. A long time ago, the Qingxian mansion was also destroyed by the master of a black dragon. But for the time being, we don't know which force he belongs to. We can only investigate it. The minister said seriously. I will give you 1 month. If you can't find out who he is, you can imagine the consequences. The Netherworld Great Emperor stood up and said with a cold look, "Yes." The minister's heart trembled, but he still smiled bitterly. There is no doubt that when Yi Tianyun went to eradicate the Qingshen mansion, he was seen by an informant. But for the time being, he didn't know the strength of the informant. In the Earth Boundary continent, only a few people knew that Yi Tianyun had a black dragon. Yi Tianyun didn't want to expose this matter. After all, he had done too many conspicuous things while riding the black dragon. On the other side of the Heaven's Top Mansion, they were also deeply shocked by the news. A young man riding a black dragon destroyed the Divine Rune Mansion. There is no doubt that this person is Yi Tianyun. At present, only Yi Tianyun has a black dragon, unless there is another person who has a mythological beast black dragon as a mount. But there are very few people who can have a mythological beast as a mount. Mansion Lord? Isn't he a bit too strong? The Great Elder and the others were shocked. A huge Divine Rune Mansion was destroyed just like that. How much strength does it take to do this? They can only keep this news to themselves. If the outside world knew about it, their Heaven's Top Mansion will be in great danger. Unless it is as strong as the Netherworld Empire, otherwise, they really don't dare to announce it. Especially since Yi Tianyun killed a minister of the Netherworld Empire. Chapter 267. Yi Tianyun quickly put away the black dragon and flew towards Heavenly Jade Sect with phoenix wings. Since he is now at core transformation stage, his speed is quite amazing. Successfully completed, Eradicate the Scourge of Divine Rune Mansion, quest, successfully obtained 10 million EXP, 100,000 Crazy Point, 1 Tyrant Rune Paper, 1 Enhanced Roulette Lottery, 100 Prestige Point, 1000 Spitz Point. The reward for completing the task has just popped up, and Yi Tianyun is very satisfied with the reward. No matter which point it was, he was quite satisfied. Not only did his reputation value increase a lot, but his sin value also increased a lot. This kind of quest is simply the more the better. He will accept as many as he can, but only a certain level of scourge can trigger this kind of quest. It seems that the system can't stand it anymore. It wants me to eradicate this Divine Rune Mansion. Yi Tianyun nodded with a smile. Immediately, he opened the Enhanced Roulette Lottery. He must try it immediately, otherwise, there is no point in keeping it. I wonder what will I get this time? Yi Tianyun was quite excited. He obtained the Ice Divine Bow before. It is a super killing weapon. He doesn't know what kind of weapon or treasure he can get in the next level. Then he first activated Luck Aura, and then the Enhanced Roulette Lottery began to spin crazily. He just looked at it. No matter what it drops, he is willing to accept it. Soon, the needle stopped and finally stopped on the cultivation technique. This is the first time he got an enhanced version of the skill type. He doesn't know what kind of skill it will be. Ding, dong. A box fell down. Yi Tianyun took a deep breath and slowly opened the box. A dazzling martial art appeared in front of him. Afterimage Doppelganger. Shadow Clone Technique, high-grade Earth-level martial art, can be upgraded. Can create 3 doppelgangers that are exactly the same as oneself, and have 3 layers of power. The duration is 10 minutes, the cooldown time is 1 hour. As the level increases, the power will become stronger and stronger. The maximum power will reach 100%. Good stuff. Yi Tianyun cried out in surprise. This was an afterimage attack, which meant that he had a few more helpers and a few more targets to confuse, sending out a doppelganger to disturb the opponent while he quietly escaped. It was perfect. Especially as his level increased, its power would also increase. This was what he needed. Up until now, he only had 30% of his strength, which was a little too little. This was also a high-grade Earth-level martial art. If he wanted to achieve 100% power, he guessed that he would need at least a high-grade Heaven-level martial art, right? It was quite difficult to level up. He had already plundered a lot of treasures, and he also had a lot of high-grade Earth-level martial arts. However, if he were to stuff them in to make up for his proficiency, he could only say, it would be too stupid. If converted into Crazy Point, he can get at least tens of thousands of Crazy Point, But if converted into proficiency points, he can get at most a few hundred, which is quite small. It's better to give it to Heavenly Jade Sect or Heaven's Top Mansion, or sell it for crazy points. Unless he was short of a few hundred or 1,000 proficiency points, he would not be willing to spend it. For example, to upgrade a high-grade Earth-level martial art to a low-grade Heaven-level martial art, he needs 1 million proficiency points. Assuming that a martial art requires 500 proficiency points, he would need 200 to fill the gap. 200 high-grade Earth-level martial art. If sold in the store, he can get 10,000 crazy points, which means 20 million. Using 20 million proficiency points to upgrade an Earth-level martial art to a Heaven-level martial art, unless he has too many martial arts, he really can't play like this. In fact, there are not many at all. High-grade Earth-level martial art is relatively rare in the third-grade forces. He checked old ancestor Tyrant Thunder's net worth on the flight. He only has about 2 or 3 high-grade martial arts, and a little more middle-grade Earth-level martial arts. But to increase proficiency, in the case of different types of martial arts, it needs to be of the same grade. This means that leveling up is too difficult. He can only increase proficiency through continuous use. For now, Yi Tianyun does not intend to focus on this aspect, otherwise he will lose a lot of money. Either he sells it and doesn't use it, or he changes it to a new martial art. In addition to martial arts, weapons are more frequently replaced. Many of the previous things are cleaned up and replaced with crazy points. The martial arts obtained from killing enemies are also sold, and there are not many left. All of a sudden, he felt that his entire inventory is a lot cleaner, and his crazy point has stacked up to more than 3 million. Not bad, more than 3 million crazy point, more than 50,000 sin point. Divine rune proficiency, less than 5,000 points. When Yi Tianyun checked his attributes, he found that his divine rune proficiency is almost 5,000 points away from leveling up, which surprised him. All of this is the credit of the quintuple proficiency card, plus the leveling up of the divine rune mansion. Suddenly the proficiency exploded. If he kept inscribing divine rune, it would really take a long time to reach this value. In the process of sorting out things, he quickly returned to the area of Heavenly Jade Sect. As soon as he came back, he saw a large open space outside the heavens immersing ancient ruins has been cleared, divided into a martial arts square. Many female disciples are practicing martial arts. It seems that there are a lot of new faces. All of them are practicing hard, and the person who is teaching them is none other than Lu Menglian. Her cultivation is not low now, reaching 8th or 9th level of spirit refinement. As a teacher, there is no problem for her to teach these new disciples. Very good, it seems that everything is quite orderly. Yi Tianyun nodded with satisfaction. It seems that there is no need for him to worry about this place. There are so many excellent disciples here. There is no need to worry about Heavenly Jade Sect not being able to level up. When he flew down, he walked all the way with a smile on his face, but after a few steps, a girl pointed a sword at him and said, "Who are you? How dare you break into our Heavenly Jade Sect?" Yi Tianyun was startled at first glance. He knew that she has never seen him before. No wonder she is so hostile. Her shout attracted a lot of other disciples, and they ran over and blocked the girl behind them. "Junior sister, you, stand back, don't let him hurt you." Immediately, they stared at Yi Tianyun and said, "You dare to break into our Heavenly Jade Sect? Please tell us where you are from, otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." This was already the martial arts training square. There was still a gate outside, which was simply blocked by a wooden fence. Therefore, if anyone wanted to visit, they must first be brought in by the guards outside. If they suddenly appeared, they would definitely be judged as trespassing. Chapter 268. You are from the Heavenly Jade Sect? Why haven't we seen you before? Our Heavenly Jade Sect only recruits female disciples. We never accept male disciples. Their voices were sharp, staring at him, not allowing a stranger to intrude. It seems we have an elder who is male? It seems like the 4th elder is male? Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind them, causing them to be stunned. Then, they looked at him in confusion. "Well, I am indeed your elder," Yi Tianyun said with a smile. These newcomers were quite cute. "Young master, you are back?" Lu Minglian hurriedly walked over at this time. When she saw Yi Tianyun, her beautiful eyes lit up. "What are you doing? He is your elder Yi, the one you have always worshipped before." "Ah!" They screamed, covering their faces, not daring to look at Yi Tianyun. After they heard about Yi Tianyun's deeds, they were very curious about this elder Yi who was about the same age as them, and they admired him, but they did not expect to be treated as a stranger. "Elder Yi, we didn't mean to..." Their eyes were filled with tears. They were embarrassed and sad. "It's okay, you are new, naturally you don't understand me." Yi Tianyun smiled, took out a few bottles of pills and handed them to Lu Minglian and said, "Sister Xiaolian, distribute these pills as a gift." Lu Minglian nodded her head and distributed the elixir pills. Each of the female disciples exclaimed in surprise when they received the elixir pills. This is a very rare body-strengthening pill." They all cried out in surprise. The body-strengthening pill was not a rare thing, but for them who were only at the body refinement stage, it was a fatal temptation. It can be said that it is the best pill for the body refinement realm. It can greatly strengthen the foundation, and cultivation will be faster and more amazing. Thank you, Elder Yi." They all shouted in unison. Their tone is full of gratitude. Yi Tianyun glanced over and discovered that their favorable impression of him had actually soared to over 100. This wasn't due to the body-strengthening pill. Rather, it was due to the fact that she had always been listening to his stories. Now that she had seen him in person and given him the body-strengthening pill, how could her favorability not explode? He had no choice but to admit that young girls were indeed easy to deceive. After a brief greeting, just as he was about to enter the Heavenly Jade sect, a familiar voice sounded in his ears. "You're so well behaved this time. Which family's young lady is actually back?" Shi Shuiyun walked out with a smile on her face. She looked as beautiful as ever. The most important thing was the warmth. Being with Shi Shuiyun made him feel incomparably comfortable. After all, they had been together for a long time. Was Auntie lying? Aren't I helping them escape the sea of suffering and strengthening our Heavenly Jade sect? Yi Tianyun was embarrassed. Indeed, the last few times he came back with people, but this time he didn't. "I don't know what you're thinking." Shi Shuiyun smiled slightly. "Well, let's not talk about this." Yi Tianyun looked at Shi Shuiyun and immediately said in surprise, "Aunt, your cultivation has improved a lot." Shi Shuiyun's cultivation broke through to second-level spirit core stage, which is quite amazing. "Compared to you, it's not worth mentioning," Shi Shuiyun said with a smile. No, it's not the same. Anyway, Aunt is more powerful." Yi Tianyun didn't know what to say. He was able to break through so fast because of the system, otherwise, he wouldn't be able to break through so fast. "You don't have to say that." Shi Shuiyun's eyes were a bit sad. "Sometimes I just think, what's the point of not being able to help when you need me?" As she spoke, she suddenly smiled. There was a hint of bitterness in that smile, but it was mostly forced. There was also a sense of loss buried within it. Yi Tianyun held Shi Shuiyun's hand and comforted her. "How can you not help? Isn't Heavenly Jade sect well managed now? There is a saying that men are in charge of external affairs, and women are in charge of internal affairs. I will be busy outside, and you will be in charge of Heavenly Jade sect here. You like to tease me like this, just like in the past." Shi Shuiyun stretched out her hand and looked at Yi Tianyun softly and said, "Don't tire yourself too much, understand?" "Well, I will." Yi Tianyun held Shi Shuiyun's hand and said with a smile, "I won't die in order to see my aunt again." "Silly, why would you die?" Shi Shuiyun smiled and said, "Sometimes, I think it's good to go out and play together. There will be a chance." Yi Tianyun smiled and said, "Oh right, I brought back a lot of resources this time. They will definitely be able to strengthen Heavenly Jade sect." As he spoke, he pulled Shi Shuiyun into the room and took out the storage rings. He handed them to Shi Shuiyun one by one. These were the storage rings of Qing Feng and the others, and the things inside were priceless. Yi Tianyun took out some of them and cleaned them up, but most of them were stored inside. After Shi Shuiyun took the rings and checked them, her beautiful eyes revealed a surprised look. The things inside were too good, and the quantity was shocking. Middle-grade soul tools and earth-grade martial arts were nothing here. They were all piled up inside the storage rings. There are so many things. Did you go to destroy some faction? Hee, Aunt, you guessed right. Some factions provoked me, and I didn't like them, so I destroyed them. Lee Tianyun said very casually, as if he had just walked a few rounds and came back. There was no problem at all. You risked your life to bring these back, so I can't accept them. You should use them for yourself and strengthen your cultivation. Only then can you protect yourself better. Shi Shuiyun returned, unwilling to accept these things. Aunt, I already have them, so I'll leave them in the sect. Lee Tianyun returned the rings and said with a smile, I didn't do it for anything else. I just want to help Aunt a little. Tianyun. Shi Shuiyun stared at Lee Tianyun and smiled. Then I will make good use of this batch of resources to strengthen Heavenly Jade Sect and make Heavenly Jade Sect stronger than ever. Shi Shuiyun stared at Lee Tianyun and smiled. If you want to stand aloof from worldly affairs, I will lead the entire sect and become your protective umbrella. We will live in seclusion in the mountains. If you want to make the entire world your enemy, I am willing to lead the entire Heavenly Jade Sect and conquer the world for you. Her voice was sonorous and powerful. It was so shocking that Lee Tianyun's heart warmed. He pulled her into his arms and hugged her. No, I just want to see you smile. That's enough. Lee Tianyun hugged her gently and smelled her fragrance, but his heart didn't have any thoughts. Chapter 269. How can Lee Tianyun not know what Shi Shuiyun is thinking? She cultivated Heavenly Jade Sect to become his strongest backing and protect him. Perhaps her strength is not enough to fight against everything, but at least that's how she thinks. She doesn't ask for anything in return, she just silently contributes for the entire Heavenly Jade Sect and for him. After the two of them kissed each other, they both smiled at each other. They didn't feel embarrassed, they just felt very warm. Aunt, by the way, I forgot to tell you something very important. I need to verify it with you. Lee Tianyun said with a serious expression. Say it. Shi Shuiyun didn't get up, she just leaned on his chest lazily. If others came in and saw this, they would be stunned. Although the two of them are not related by blood, and the age difference is only a few years, but this is too exciting. Immediately, Lee Tianyun said everything, including the situation of Heaven's top mansion, such as Spirit King Xian Tian, and Heavenly Jade Sect's old ancestor. After saying everything, Shi Shuiyun sat up, frowned and said, I don't know much about this, I have to ask the old ancestor. She also stood up and took him to find the old ancestor. She doesn't know much about these things. She doesn't care who the old ancestor is, she just needs to manage the current situation. Soon they found the old ancestor. After getting a lot of resources, they are working hard to improve their cultivation. But there is always a limit. The older they get, the less blood chi they have. This is the same as Lee Tianyun. If his blood chi is too weak, he can't cultivate or break through. Old ancestor, what is the real name of the founder of our Heavenly Jade Sect? Shi Shuiyun asked curtly. When these old ancestors saw Lee Tianyun, they hurriedly stood up. Their attitude towards Lee Tianyun was completely different, and they didn't dare to be careless. If it wasn't for Lee Tianyun, these old fellows would have died long ago. Who would still dare to be so high and mighty? If they had been acting all high and mighty, Lee Tianyun wouldn't have minded kicking them out and letting them sleep outside to reflect on themselves. Fortunately, these old fellows were tactful and did not do anything too excessive. Some elders took it for granted, thinking that they deserved it, or that Lee Tianyun was groomed by them. If they really thought so, Lee Tianyun would definitely give them a tight slap and chase them out of his sight. He was taken care of by Shi Shuiyun, not by these old farts. The real name of the founder. The ancestors frowned and shook their heads. We are not too sure about this. All the records have been erased. There is no information about the founder at all. At most, we know that he was a man. As for the rest, we are not sure. Other than that, there's no other information. Lee Tianyun felt a little disappointed. He wanted to verify it, but he didn't expect that the information was so limited. If there is other information. The old ancestors looked at each other and revealed a little embarrassment in their eyes, but they still said it. At most, we know that the founder abandoned a female disciple. Then this female disciple became the next palace master. Finally, all the male disciples were driven out and only the female disciples were left. This is the dark history of Heavenly Jade sect. Naturally, they don't want to say it. This is the fundamental reason why there are only female disciples in Heavenly Jade sect. A heartless man led to the birth of Heavenly Jade sect. All the disciples were female, no male disciples. Later on, when it was opened, it was for the outer disciples who were threatened by other sections. Tianyun has heard of this information before. It's not a secret, but it's a little embarrassing to say it again. You don't even know his name? Even his surname is fine. Tianyun is a little disappointed. I don't know his surname, but I know a little about his name. The old ancestor thought about it and said, "What's his name?" Tianyun asked. Heavenly Jade is the name of the first palace master. I don't know his surname. The old ancestor shook his head. Tianyun smiled and said, "That's enough. As I thought before, the first palace master of our Heavenly Jade sect is the owner of this heaven's immersing ancient ruins. After he left Heavenly Jade sect, he didn't go far. Instead, he built the heavens immersing ancient ruins here." There's such a thing? They are all surprised. They have lived here for so long, but they don't know who the owner of this place is. At most, they know that he is called Spirit King Xian Tian, but they don't know his real name. Tianyun smiled and quickly called, "Old Xian, Old Xian." Soon Old Xian appeared, and when he saw Tianyun, he respectfully said, "Master, what's the matter? What's the real name of your previous master?" Tianyun asked. The previous master's name is He Tianxian. Old Xian said truthfully. Did he create any sect? Tianyun asked. I'm not sure about that. I only know that the previous master has been looking at a portrait and often said something. Old Xian said. Portrait? Tianyun smiled and said, "Do you still have the portrait?" No, the previous master told me to burn it for myself after he died. I have already burned it. After Elder Xian spoke, he immediately added, "However, I can conjure it up for you to take a look, master." Then hurry up. Tianyun motioned him to hurry up. Immediately, Old Xian gently waved his hand and a misty scene appeared in front of them. Soon, a painting appeared in front of them. Old Xian can create an illusion, so it is not a problem for him to create a painting here. Immediately after they saw the appearance of the painting, one of the old ancestors exclaimed, Isn't this the ancestor?" The other old ancestors also exclaimed. The portrait of the ancestor is still there, or it should be said that all the previous palace masters have portraits, except for Spirit King Xian Tian. It seems that Spirit King Xian Tian cares a lot about it. Tianyun shook his head and said, "How could this happen? Old Xian, do you know anything about this?" "I'm not sure about this. I only heard the previous master constantly saying sorry for letting her down. I don't know anything else." Old Xian shook his head. Chapter 270. Tianyun already knows the general situation. Indeed, as the great elder said, Heavenly Jade sect was created by Spirit King Xian Tian, so it belongs to Heaven's top mansion. But it's not the same, after all, it's equivalent to a different sect. The point is that he is now the mansion lord, so it's different. Heaven's top mansion is in decline, but it still has some heritage. As a cultivation place, Heaven's top mansion is much better than Heaven's immersing ancient ruins. Therefore, it's great that they can merge together, and it will greatly strengthen Heavenly Jade sect. Immediately, Tianyun told them what happened these days, such as him becoming the mansion lord of Heaven's top mansion, so he can discuss it with Shi Shuiyun and the others. I am now the mansion lord of Heaven's top mansion, so I am essentially the same as Heavenly Jade sect, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that the two can be merged, but I don't intend to completely mix them together. I want to keep it the way it was before. Tianyun thought for a moment, then said, "But the disciples of Heaven's top mansion can also join us, as long as they are mainly female disciples. I don't know what you think?" There are many elders and deacons in the hall, and when they heard what Tianyun said, they were shocked. They didn't expect that Yi Tianyun has already become the mansion lord of a third-grade force. This is a bit shocking. I was thinking that if we completely merge, I will definitely not agree. The one who spoke is not the other elders, but Yue. She thought for a moment and said, the reason is simple, although Elder Yi is the mansion lord, but it's more complicated and difficult to manage. Especially at the beginning, it's easy to cause chaos. But if we continue to separate, this is a good choice. We can still be divided into two factions, focusing on different martial arts. Yes, I agree with the fifth elder's idea. I will listen to Elder Yi's opinion on merging with Heaven's top mansion. However, regardless of whether or not the two of them are from the same sect, since they were originally separated, they shouldn't be completely merged together. They should be what they were originally, Elder Mou said. Yi Tianyun looked at Shi Shuiyun, wondering what Shi Shuiyun was thinking. My thoughts are more or less the same. Although it's the old ancestors' sect, it's different now. We have our own pace, and we're confident that we can become stronger. Shi Shuiyun said firmly, we will carry forward the name of Tianxian and spread it far and wide. Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, of course. This is equivalent to the relationship between the two alliances. Whatever it was in the past, it will still be the same now. However, the two sides will be completely in harmony. Sharing resources, helping each other, and joining each other isn't a problem. What they care about is nothing more than the disappearance of Jade Sect's name. They are Jade Sect, not Heaven's top mansion. Even if Heaven's top mansion is their old ancestors' sect, it's completely different now. This was just like how no one would be willing to have their names suddenly changed. If you look at it this way, then define it this way. One mansion is divided into two sects, one is Heaven's top sect, and the other is Jade Sect. How about we call it Shuang Long Mansion? Tianyun came up with a rather tacky name, Dual Dragon Mansion. In fact, it means that the two doors are two giant dragons, a giant dragon that can fly at any time. No problem. They all nodded heavily. They want to be independent, and this is undoubtedly very suitable. As long as they can keep the name Tianxian, they don't care how they change it. All right then, this matter is settled. Tianyun smiled and nodded, but we can't move it now. When the time comes, we will move the entire Heavens immersing ancient ruins and continue to use it as our palace. At that time, it will no longer be a historical site, but a temple, our heavenly jade palace. Heavens immersing ancient ruins can be moved? They were stunned. Can such a behemoth really be moved? Of course, you will know when the time comes. Yi Tianyun smiled and didn't elaborate. He can't repair the flying formation now, but it's not far away. But even if it's repaired, he doesn't plan to move there immediately. The main thing is that it's a bit chaotic right now. It's safer to stay here. When his cultivation level increases, and when the power here increases, it will be the time to move there. After explaining everything, Yi Tianyun began to go to the interior of Heaven's immersing ancient ruins and began to carve other formations. The first one to carve is the formation inside the Heavenly Soul Tower. He felt that it will be very helpful in training disciples in this field, so he began to carve. Not long after, he noticed someone next to him, turned his head and saw Jiao Lingyun looking at him. He smiled and said, Sister Jiao, what's wrong? Jiao Lingyun smiled embarrassedly, Brother Yi, sorry to disturb you. I saw you carving divine runes here, so I didn't want to disturb you. Did I disturb you? Of course not. If you want to see it, then come and watch. Yi Tianyun motioned her to come to his side and explained, I am now carving a spirit array. While absorbing the spiritual force, it can also increase the speed of cultivation. It is definitely a good array to train disciples. That's amazing. Jiao Lingyun was excited. I have thought about this before. I have been trying and failed many times, but finally, a small part of it. Brother, can you help me? Of course, that's not a problem. Yi Tianyun was a little surprised. Soon, Jiao Lingyun brought him to a room, which has been carved with divine runes. It looks very good. Soon, Jiao Lingyun opened the array, followed by the impact of the divine runes, and the speed of spiritual force absorption is increased. It is similar to what he engraved, but the effect is slightly worse. Because the effect is fixed, it is not very easy to adjust. But this has already shocked Lee Tianyun. This is simply self-taught. Genius, absolute genius. Jiao Mei, you are amazing. Lee Tianyun was shocked. You can explore to this extent. It is very amazing. Really? Jiao Lingyun blushed and felt very embarrassed. I was afraid that Brother Yi would laugh at me. What are you afraid of? Your talent is very strong. Lee Tianyun thought for a moment and said, Come, I will teach you the content in this area. For example, you need to modify here, and here you need to do this. He began to guide, and Jiao Lingyun looked very serious, very serious. So that's how it is, Brother. Thank you. Jiao Lingyun smiled brightly. Her ordinary face can still show a beautiful smile. This made Lee Tianyun startled. A smile from the heart is the most beautiful, the most shining. Ding, completed hidden quest, Saints Strengthening Training, received 1 million EXP, 50. 000 Crazy Point, 100 Prestige Point, 1000 Divine Rune Proficiency. Chapter 272. When this task appeared again, Lee Tianyun was stunned. It seems that this thing can really be cultivated step by step. It seems that as long as he imparts some knowledge to Jiao Lingyun, he will be able to complete this task. Holy Maiden's Cultivation? Is this to help our Heavenly Jade sect to cultivate a Holy Maiden? Lee Tianyun touched his chin. He thought that Jiao Lingyun was the Holy Maiden of some race, but now it seems that she is the Holy Maiden of Heavenly Jade sect. That is to cultivate the Holy Maiden of the Heavenly Jade sect, not the Holy Maiden of other sections. Big Brother Yi, did I engrave it correctly? Jiao Lingyun looked up at him and asked. This is correct. Come, I will teach you a better way to engrave it. Lee Tianyun's eyes lit up and continued to impart other content to her. Soon, after a round of teaching, Jiao Lingyun learned everything. Her comprehension is quite terrifying. She can be described as a monster. In terms of martial arts, her level is relatively limited, but the level of divine rune engraving is quite amazing. But this time there is no task. It seems that she needs to advance to the next level, otherwise she won't be able to complete the task at all. Also, this is the content of divine rune engraving for you. Practice well in this aspect. In the future, our Heavenly Jade sect will completely rely on you. Lee Tianyun took out the divine rune engraving content and the divine rune brush and gave them to Jiao Lingyun. Jiao Lingyun is undoubtedly the best choice. In the entire Heavenly Jade sect, Jiao Lingyun's talent is the strongest. Even compared to the geniuses of divine rune manner, she is not inferior. As for the disciples of Heavenly Rune Pavilion, Lee Tianyun dare not say that he is the first, but at least he is in the top 5. This is all for me? But this is too precious, especially these divine rune brushes. They are all soul tools. I don't dare to take them. After Jiao Lingyun took over and checked, she was immediately shocked. The content is extremely profound. After learning it, she can at least advance to the 5th grade Divine Rune Master, and the Divine Rune Brush is also very precious. In the entire Heavenly Jade sect, besides you, no one else is suitable for these things. Lee Tianyun put his hand on her shoulder and said with a smile, Don't you have a group of disciples with you now? It's up to you to distribute them. I believe that you will definitely do a good job. Jiao Lingyun clutched the storage ring tightly and nodded. Her clear eyes flashed with excitement. Big Brother Yi, I've never thought about it too much. I just want to help Big Brother Yi, so I've been working hard. I can't help Big Brother Yi now, but I believe I can help Big Brother Yi in the future. Don't think too much. You have to live for yourself and work hard for yourself. Lee Tianyun was touched in his heart. He stretched out his hand and rubbed her head. He smiled and said, Come on, let's finish carving this divine rune together. This way, we can have another training ground and strengthen the cultivation of our disciples. Jiao Lingyun nodded with excitement in her eyes. Then the two of them began to carve divine runes together. The entire training room was filled with divine runes, and the effect was much better than the divine runes in the Heavenly Soul Tower. These were all improved by Lee Tianyun, so the effect was naturally different. It was stronger than the divine runes in the Heavenly Soul Tower. The effect would be more obvious when cultivating, and it would definitely reach a good level. Ding, successfully carved 3rd grade divine rune, gained 50 proficiency points. Ding, successfully carved 3rd grade divine rune, gained 50 proficiency points. The divine runes he was carving were all 3rd grade divine runes. Because their levels were relatively low, the proficiency points gained were relatively low. However, it would still take him a long time to carve the entire training room. He also needed to carve many divine runes, so the proficiency points gained would definitely not be low. Unknowingly, after a long time, they finally finished carving all the divine runes in the training room. The consumption of mental strength was not low. Jiao Lingyun's face was flushed red. The consumption of mental strength was also not low. We finally succeeded. Let's test the effect? After that, they tested the effect of the divine runes, and they were very satisfied with the results. Yi Tianyun could already foresee that a large number of divine runes disciples would appear in the Jade sect. As for alchemy and blacksmithing, these two were relatively rare, so he could only put them aside for the time being. Then Big Brother Yi, I'll let the disciples come over and try it out. Jiao Lingyun ran away excitedly and went to find those disciples to try it out. Yi Tianyun smiled knowingly, but he did not stop. He continued to carve divine runes in another training room. He wanted to carve another training room so that even if there were more disciples in the future, it would be able to accommodate them all. Another idea was to increase his proficiency points. He only needed a little bit more to advance his divine rune proficiency. Finally, when he was almost done, a pleasant voice sounded. Ding! Congratulations to player Yi Tianyun for successfully advancing from Advanced Divine Rune Proficiency to Grandmaster Divine Rune Proficiency. The next level requires 500,000 proficiency points. After advancing to Grandmaster Divine Rune Proficiency, Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up, and his speed of carving divine runes suddenly soared. Originally, he needed 2 or 3 incense sticks of time to finish, but now he only needed 1 incense stick of time. This was true speed, accuracy, and ruthlessness. This speed was quite astonishing, as fast as lightning. At this time, Jiao Lingyun happened to come over with the other disciples, and when they saw Yi Tianyun carving divine runes so quickly, they were all stunned. They had never seen a 3rd grade divine rune being carved so quickly. This speed is so fast. Is this Elder Yi's ability? Elder Yi's level, could it be that he has reached the level of a divine rune grandmaster? No way, such a young divine rune grandmaster, isn't it too amazing? All of them covered their small mouths, they were all stunned. Elder Yi's level has indeed reached the level of a divine rune grandmaster. Jiao Lingyun's beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. In the future, all of you will be cultivating here. These are all inscribed by me and Elder Yi. It will be of great help to your cultivation. In private, she still addressed Yi Tianyun as Big Brother Yi, but in front of outsiders, she would address him as Elder Yi. This was the same as how Yi Tianyun addressed Shi Shuiyun. Is everyone here? Yi Tianyun stood up, wiping away the sweat on his forehead. Basically, the inscription was completed. Elder Yi, you are too amazing. Have you really reached the level of a divine rune grandmaster? One of the disciples jumped over and asked excitedly. Her eyes were filled with worship. This, I think so. Yi Tianyun smiled. He felt that he had reached the level of a divine rune grandmaster. Amazing! All of them were incomparably excited. Their eyes were filled with worship. They were deeply attracted by his strength. Ding successfully obtained the title Respect of 1,000. Effect: Commander's ability increases by 100 points. Chapter 273. Title, Respect of 1,000. Increase Commander points by 100 points. He had seen this before. It was the Commander Grimoire. It was specially used to increase Commander points. Its use is relatively simple. It's usually difficult to notice. The main thing is that people will believe what he says. They will follow him around. This is a bit interesting. It's not easy to complete this condition. It's to have more than 1,000 people worship him. He can get this title. There are thousands of people in the entire Heavenly Jade sect. It means that almost all of them worship him. With this title, his words will be more deterrent and more convincing. It's like going to a strange place and suddenly standing up and saying that he wants to lead everyone to a new place. If the commander points are high, there will immediately be people willing to listen to him and go with him. If the commander points are low, then no one will listen to him. After talking with them for a while, Lee Tianyun left. He did not continue to stay here, but went to the core area of the heavens immersing ancient ruins. There is a flying array here. He is now going to repair the flying array. Immediately, he came to the inside of the heavens immersing ancient ruins. The ground is densely covered with divine runes. Each divine rune looks very profound. There are 6 grooves on the side, proving that something can be put in. 6 grooves. It seems that I need to put in 6 huge spirit jade stones, otherwise I can't activate this flying array at all. Lee Tianyun looked at the 6 grooves. He knew that he needs to find 6 huge spirit jade stones, and they must be very complete. As for the price, it must be very expensive, but he can go to the Star Pavilion to buy it. It's not difficult. What he needs now is to repair the flying array. After repairing it, there will be no problem. It's almost time to start repairing. After such a long time, there are really a lot of broken places. Lee Tianyun glanced around. He roughly knows how difficult it is to repair. Even if he has reached the master level of divine rune mastery, it's still not easy to repair. On the contrary, repairing is more difficult than making. After all, everyone's carving method is different. If you want to carve it according to the original condition, you need to be very careful. He took out the imperial spirit brush and was about to repair it. At this moment, Elder Xian appeared from the side and looked at him in astonishment. Master, are you going to repair this flying formation? Not bad. It is about time to repair the flying array, Lee Tianyun said. This is something that requires one to be at the level of a master. You've already reached that level? Elder Xian was astonished. That's right. Is there a problem? Lee Tianyun smiled. Isn't this too fast? Elder Xian was shocked as he said, according to what I know, the powerful individuals who came to carve this flying formation were at least 70 or 80 years old. You're already old enough. Some things can't be measured by age, understand? Lee Tianyun smiled and opened his heavenly eye. The first thing he saw was the dense divine runes on the divine runes. In order to repair it perfectly, he needed the help of the heavenly eye. After activating it, he immediately knew where the damage was and how much strength was needed to repair it. This thing was quite useful. Although he could repair it without using the heaven's eye, there was no reason not to use it. Using it would greatly increase the success rate of the repair. Although he didn't dare to say that he definitely wouldn't, at least the success rate would greatly increase. Then he ignored Elder Xian's astonished gaze and began to repair the damaged parts. With the help of the Imperial Spirit Brush, it wasn't too difficult to repair the damaged parts. In fact, it was quite impressive. Ding! Successfully repaired Grandmaster Grade Divine Inscriptions. Reward: 50,000 experience points, 500 Divine Inscriptions proficiency points. Ding! Successfully repaired Grandmaster Level Divine Inscriptions. Reward: 30,000 experience points, 300 Divine Inscriptions proficiency points. Ding! Successfully repaired. He repaired them one by one. The more difficult it was, the more experience he gained and the more proficiency he gained. Of course, this was not the main point. The main point was to quickly repair the flying formation. For the rest of the time, he continued to repair the formation, day and night. If he was tired, he would go out and rest for a while, and then continue to repair. There were too many places to repair this flying formation. It was no less than re-engraving a flying formation. Even so, he still had to repair it. This kind of formation was fixed here. If he wanted to re-engrave it, he would have to rebuild the heavens immersing ancient ruins. It's finally repaired. Lee Tianyun exhaled. After more than a week of repair, he finally finished repairing the flying formation and gained a lot of experience and proficiency. Although it was far less than the speed of the battle, it was still quite impressive. After the repair, the entire flying formation was shining with the luster it should have, and it looked no different from the original. Master, you really repaired it. Elder Xian was deeply shocked when he saw this. Do you think I'm lying to you? Lee Tianyun rolled his eyes and said, Ding! Successfully repaired all the formations in the heavens immersing ancient ruins. Reward: 1 million experience points, 10,000 divine inscriptions proficiency points. Ding. Continue the second step of the main storyline, successfully upgraded to Jade Mansion level and transferred to Heavenly Border Continent. Ding. Current progress: 1/5 of the Spirit Core Cultivators, 6/50ths of the Core Condensation Cultivators, Spirit Refinement Cultivators have a Core Transformation Cultivator, so the difficulty is halved. There were 1/3 Spirit Core Cultivators and 6/25ths Core Condensation Cultivators. Spirit Refinement Cultivators had a new notification popping up, which made him stunned. This was the standard to become a 3rd-grade force. And this is under the condition that there is a Core Transformation Cultivator, which means he himself is the only one who can reduce the difficulty by half. Many of the weaker 3rd-grade forces don't even have a Core Transformation Cultivator, so having a Core Transformation Cultivator is a bit of a boost. It seems that the difficulty is really not small. Lee Tianyun showed a bit of a wry smile. It seems that the difficulty is really high. Even if the difficulty is halved, it is still quite difficult. This is already the minimum. If they don't even have 5 Spirit Core Cultivators, how can they talk about becoming a 3rd-grade force? There are as many as 50 Core Condensation Cultivators. Now even if it is reduced to 25, it is still very difficult. Spirit Refinement Cultivators are easier to deal with. As their cultivation advances, they will soon fill up this number, but the first one is more troublesome. For other 3rd-grade forces, this is really common. Deacon level is the Core Condensation Cultivator. Walking around in a 3rd-grade force, you can see Core Condensation Cultivators, so it is not a problem. But for Heavenly Jade Sect, the difficulty is not small. It can only be said that the time is too short. Even if they had a good cultivation environment and bad pills, they would still have to slowly improve. Not everyone was a super genius. It seems that if I want to complete this task, the best way is to quickly merge the two forces, but the favorability of those who join cannot be too low, otherwise it will not be effective. Chapter 274. After repairing everything, Lee Tianyun didn't rush to find the Jade Spirit Stone to inlay. With the current chaotic situation, it's not suitable to move the heavens immersing ancient ruins at will. It's not good for a temple to fly in the sky without attracting people's attention. Especially flying to Heaven's top mansion, if they attract any attention, they won't even know how they died. In front of the enemy, without enough strength, Lee Tianyun really doesn't dare to fly around, so he can't quickly advance the main task. However, he still had to prepare what he needed to prepare. It's almost done here, then we can go back. Lee Tianyun nodded. Everything here has been arranged. The only thing left is to give them time. As long as they have enough time, they can quickly develop. With so many resources, so many martial arts, it's hard not to develop. But no matter how fast they soar, it's impossible to achieve it in a few days. According to his estimation, it will take at least a few years for Heavenly Jade Sect to reach the peak of the 2nd-grade force, and then to enter the 3rd-grade force. Without Heaven's top mansion's help, this was already quite fast, unless there was a large number of geniuses joining them. Before Heavenly Jade Sect becomes famous, it's impossible for geniuses to join, unless they're ordinary geniuses. After saying goodbye to Shueyun and the others, he quickly left and did not continue to stay here. Time is still relatively tight. The situation here is almost finished. Most of the things that need to be arranged have been arranged. He doesn't need to intervene in most things. It's very smooth on its own. After returning to Heaven's top mansion, Lee Tianyun breathed a sigh of relief. If Heaven's top mansion was attacked while he was away, it would be very troublesome. Mansion Lord, you're back. When Great Elder saw Lee Tianyun came back, he was surprised. They are now all centered around Lee Tianyun, and now they feel that they can't leave Lee Tianyun. If Lee Tianyun doesn't come back, then Heaven's top mansion will be finished. Did anything happen while I was away? Lee Tianyun asked. Yes, there is a big problem. Great Elder said. The news has spread outside. The Dragon Gathering City Palace was destroyed. Many mansion lords died in this palace, naturally including us. The destruction of the Divine Rune Mansion has been linked to the Netherworld Empire. The entire heavenly boundary continent is in an uproar. Everyone is worried that the Netherworld Empire will destroy it. Tianyun nodded. This is not unexpected. This matter will definitely spread, so they can't show their faces in public. But the Netherworld Empire soon came out to clarify, saying that they didn't do anything and ordered a thorough investigation on this matter. Great Elder said, Netherworld Empire is focusing on investigating this matter. I believe they won't have any time to deal with us. Plus, we've already died in there, so no one will know of our existence. Tianyun Mansion is sect, Dragon Yun sect, Long Te1's palace palace is this long ago. By the time the Netherworld Empire found out about this matter, Tianyun doesn't know how long it will take, especially since the Netherworld Empire has so many things to deal with. It seems that the situation is going in a good direction. Tianyun nodded and continued to ask, is there any problem with Heaven's Top Mansion recently? There is no problem, we got a lot of resources, but we didn't distribute them all at once, we distributed them slowly to avoid any accidents. Great Elder said, other than that, there is no problem. But the number of disciples joining our Heaven's Top Mansion is decreasing. At this point, the Great Elder revealed a bitter smile. It was not a good thing that there were no new disciples joining. Tianyun immediately explained the general situation, such as the merger, and the old ancestor of Heavenly Jade sect, all of it was said. It is necessary for them to discuss this matter, otherwise, it will easily cause a conflict. One mansion, two sects? Interesting, of course, this is not a problem, we will listen to Lord E. Great Elder smiled and said, if the two sects can be merged, then the number of disciples will increase, we can train these disciples, I don't believe that we can't prosper. If the two sects merge, the number of disciples won't be a lot, but it's more about the quality. Well, since there is no problem, I plan to go to the Star Pavilion to buy some things, I will come back later. Tianyun saw that there is no problem and quickly left the place. The thing he bought from the Star Pavilion is naturally the Spirit Jade Stone. Although he doesn't need to use it immediately, it's always good to have it ready. This time, he didn't bring anyone with him. Heaven's Top Mansion is relatively weak. If they are recognized, it will not be good to cause trouble. He is wearing a mask. No matter who comes, he won't be afraid of being recognized. Soon, he arrived at the headquarters of the Star Pavilion. This place has the most things and information. It must be the best place to go. It seems that the influence is not big. Ordinary cultivators are not a problem. Tianyun nodded. The Netherworld Empire's overbearing power is not enough to make people panic. Shortly after, he arrived at the Star Pavilion. No one recognized him. He even specially disguised himself as a slightly older man, who looked to be in his 30s. Welcome, how can I help you? A beautiful woman came over. I want to buy Spirit Jade Stone, and a very big one. Tianyun said directly. A very big Spirit Jade Stone? The woman's eyes lit up and said, how big? This is a big commission for her. The more things she buys, the more commission she will get. Generally speaking, 100 pounds or more than a dozen. Tianyun thought for a moment, it doesn't matter if these things are more prepared, just in case. A 50-kilogram one. The woman exclaimed. Her voice was trembling as she said, It's very rare to see such a complete Spirit Jade Stone. At most, it's 15 kilograms. I really don't have a 50-kilogram one, 15 pounds? Tianyun frowned. This is far from the level he wants, at least more than 50 to 60 gene. If it's too small, he won't be able to fill the slot. How can he activate the flying great array? Yes, only 15 pounds. The woman looked at him expectantly. She hoped that she can accept this business. Forget it, too small, not interested. Tianyun waved his hand, turned around and left. It is really too small. Young master, please wait a moment. At this time, a beautiful woman came out from the inside and looked at him with a smile. I am sorry, I just happened to hear what you said. You want more than 100 pounds of Spirit Jade Stone. Tianyun didn't even look at her. He just nodded. Yes, not 100 pounds, at least 50 to 60 pounds. What a coincidence. Someone wants to auction this kind of spirit jade stone. The heaviest is 200 pounds. I wonder if you would like to enter the VIP room to listen to the details. The beautiful woman immediately stopped Yi Tianyun from leaving. Chapter 275. Yi Tianyun looked at this woman and felt that she looked familiar, as though he had seen her somewhere before. However, he was sure that he had not seen her before, but he had definitely seen someone who looked familiar from somewhere. Otherwise, it would not be so similar. Miss Li. When the waitresses saw her, they all greeted her respectfully. Miss Li? Yi Tianyun suddenly understood why this woman looked so familiar. So she was Li Tianlong's granddaughter? Or his daughter? When the woman saw Yi Tianyun looking at her so seriously, she smiled and said, "Mister, is there anything wrong with my face?" "There's no problem. It's just that your words have successfully attracted my attention." Yi Tianyun smiled lightly and said, "Bring me to the VIP room and let me have a good look." "No problem, please follow me." The beautiful woman gestured for Yi Tianyun to follow her. After they left, the waitresses showed dissatisfied expressions and looked at Miss Li's back with some disgust. "I didn't expect her to come personally and steal my business. If I knew the details of the auction, this business would definitely be mine." "Shoo, don't speak so loudly, it's not good if she hears it. Pavilion Master Li has a few children, and she has the worst talent in divine inscriptions, so she can only come here to help. If she can't even help with this, won't she be left out? If she's left out, she can come and steal my customer?" The waitress rolled her eyes at her companion and said, "If she wasn't Pavilion Master Li's daughter, I wouldn't have been polite to her. Only with this identity can she stay here." "All right, don't say any more, it's not good if she hears it. If I don't say anything, do you think the others here won't say anything? Everyone is so promising. Her cultivation level is poor, and she doesn't even know divine inscriptions. If it was someone else, they would have been kicked out long ago." They were like resentful women, constantly complaining. Even Yi Tianyun heard this. Although it was a little soft, he still heard it. Li Ya, who was leading the way, trembled, but she didn't say anything and continued to lead him forward. Yi Tianyun believed that she definitely heard it, and she heard it very clearly. Although Li Ya's cultivation is not high, but she is at least at the second level of core condensation. This level of cultivation was considered pretty good in an ordinary force, but in the Star Pavilion, it was considered average. Especially since Li Ya wasn't young anymore. She looked to be around 25 or 26 years old, which wasn't considered young at all. Most importantly, she was Pavilion Head Li's daughter. This was different, and there would be a huge contrast. What he said just now was the best proof. Under Li Ya's lead, they arrived at the VIP lounge. Although Yi Tianyun did not pay any money, he directly said that he wanted to buy jade spirit stones, and that was enough for him to enter the VIP lounge to discuss in detail. "Young master, please take a seat." Li Ya gestured to Yi Tianyun to sit down. She also sat down and said with a smile on her face, "Young master just said that you need to buy a large piece of jade spirit stone, and it must be very complete?" "Yes, the more complete the better. It must be at least 50 to 60 pounds. Yi Tianyun said while looking at Li Ya. "She should be Li Tianlong's youngest daughter." "This is no problem. It just so happens that someone is auctioning a large number of jade spirit stones, and it's very complete. There are at least 5 pieces that are more than 200 pounds. Li Ya smiled and said, "I don't know if you are satisfied with this batch of goods?" "Satisfied, very satisfied." Yi Tianyun's eyes lit up. This is what he needs the most. The more complete the better. If it's too big, it can be cut, but if it's too small, it can't be combined. But the problem is that this customer wants someone to buy it all at once, not just a small part, or buy it separately. Li Ya said, "I don't know if you can afford this price." "No problem, this isn't a problem. As long as you can give me good goods, then it won't be a problem." Yi Tianyun said indifferently. He wasn't lacking in money right now. After plundering so many sect treasures, how could he be poor? Since that's the case, then it's easy. Li Ya's eyes lit up and continued. "However, The other customer does not need any gold, nor does he need any pills, he only needs a soul tool to exchange. I wonder if that's possible? Gold could still be circulated in the past, but now it was not, especially in the face of Jade Spirit Stone. Jade Spirit Stone was already equivalent to the currency in circulation, and gold was nothing at all. The further one went, the higher the level of currency would be needed. For example, Spirit Stones were the most widely circulated currency, and Jade Spirit Stone was a higher grade currency. The spirit energy contained within was even denser, so the price was naturally higher. No problem. Tianyun's answer was simple and crude. He could even refine soul tools himself, so he was not worried at all. This little girl has a rude question. I wonder if you are buying these Jade Spirit Stones to set up a large formation? Leah asked. Large pieces of Jade Spirit Stones were definitely not currency. If they were to be used as currency, then it would be unreasonable to auction them here. Basically, large pieces of Jade Spirit Stones only had one main use, and that was to set up a large formation as an energy stone to activate it. That's right, is there a problem? Tianyun did not avoid this answer, mainly because this thing was basically used like this, carved into a statue and placed it at home, then he would pretend that he didn't say anything. There's no problem. I just wanted to ask, if young master's attainments in divine inscriptions are not bad, you can join our Star Pavilion. Leah immediately tried to rope him in. As long as you join our Star Pavilion as a guest elder, we will definitely not treat you badly. I believe you know the foundation of our Star Pavilion, it will definitely not be bad. She immediately started to rope people in, and Tianyun knew very well that this was to make a contribution for him. The more people he roped in, the more it was like soliciting guests. If he could rope in a strong person, then it would be his own ability. That's not necessary for the time being, I just came to buy something. Tianyun refused the invitation. As long as he had the ability, he would immediately be invited, there was no exception. All right then. Leah's beautiful eyes flashed with a bit of disappointment and immediately said, Then can you let me confirm all of your current property? We only need a part of it. We are worried that someone will deliberately cause trouble. No problem. Tianyun understood what they were thinking. The storage ring in his hand lit up, and with a light throw, 3 high-grade soul tools fell on the ground. This is only a small part. Can I not have it? He left a lot of treasures in the Heavenly Jade sect, but there are still a lot of them on him. He originally planned to come here to buy Jade Spirit Stones, so how could he not prepare some money? Chapter 276. After Leah left, Tianyun sat alone in the VIP room, drinking tea. He could clearly see what was going on below. Now that the auction was about to start, there were already many people seated below. They were all whispering to each other, discussing the items to be auctioned. Most of the cultivators who were auctioning were considered poor. If they were rich, they would be auctioning in the VIP room. Not only could he hide his face, but he could also sit comfortably. Of course, there were some cultivators who were especially free and liked to sit there to auction. No matter what, Tianyun was determined to get it. As time passed, more and more people gathered in the auction venue. When it was night outside, it was finally time for the official auction. There was an auction basically every day. As for the number of treasures, it depended on the situation at that time. As for what would be auctioned, it would basically be listed for the cultivators to see. It wouldn't waste anyone's time. What should be sold would be sold and wouldn't be slowly played with. Other than a few special finale treasures, most of them would be clearly stated. Those that weren't mentioned would also be mentioned. It's finally starting. Tianyun squinted and looked below. Most of the people had arrived. Soon, Leah walked up to the stage and started her speech. I'm very happy to see everyone. The auction is about to start. I hope that everyone can buy the treasures that you like. Leah smiled and gestured for her companions below to bring the first treasure up. However, when more cultivators saw Leah, they started discussing and didn't pay much attention to the treasure. Isn't that Pavilion Master Lee's daughter? Why was she sent here to help? I heard that it's to take care of her. She's not good in many aspects, so she could only be sent here to help. That's true. It's very easy to do this job here. Occasionally, you can even get to know some experts. Pavilion Master Li seems to be paying attention. No matter how bad his daughter is, she's still his daughter. How can he give up? Everyone didn't talk about the treasures but Li Ya. It seemed that Li Ya's reputation was quite big, but it was all negative. Li Ya's smile froze. This was her first day on stage and she didn't expect to become the topic of discussion. However, she had a strong heart and began to introduce the first treasure. The first treasure is a mid-grade soul armament, the Frozen Sky Sword. There are 4th-grade divine runes on it, which can increase the freezing power of the sword. Li Ya's voice became louder as she continued. The price will be auctioned using Jade Spirit Stones. The starting price will be 1,000 Jade Spirit Stones, and each bid cannot be lower than 100 Jade Spirit Stones. The 1,000 mentioned here was calculated in taels, but it didn't need a complete Spirit Jade Stone, just a small piece would do. Most of the small pieces of Spirit Jade Stones were about a few taels or half a kilogram. These were very good for cultivation. It was much better than absorbing spiritual awareness and cultivating outside. At this moment, many people turned their attention to this weapon. It immediately attracted the attention of many people, especially cultivators who mainly cultivated the ice attribute. I'll take it. 1,500 Spirit Jade Stones. 1,800 Spirit Jade Stones. 1,900 Spirit Jade Stones. One after another, the price was higher than the other. It seemed that the price of a mid-grade soul armament with 4th-grade divine runes was not low. Yi Tianyun, who was in the VIP room, was not interested. He could forge these mid-grade soul armaments by himself. Since he had nothing to do, he picked up the auction list. The corresponding treasures were clearly listed on it. There were more than 20 treasures in this auction. Among them, the complete Jade Spirit Stone that he wanted was ranked 3rd from the bottom. It was publicly available. The last 2 items were hidden. One of them was an elixir, and the other was a treasure. It was clearly written that those who wanted the elixir could keep it. It was definitely a top-grade elixir. As for the other treasure, it was definitely not a weapon or armor. It was definitely a treasure with a special effect. This made people somewhat excited. As for the others, Yi Tianyun was not interested at all. They were all weapons and elixirs. The grade was not low, but if he could forge them, they would not be attractive at all. Feeling extremely bored, he took out some crafting materials and began to forge a low-grade soul tool. He could only forge low-grade soul armaments at most. If he continued, he would be able to forge mid-grade soul armaments and even high-grade soul armaments. Actually, in theory, it was not as fast as killing monsters. The items that dropped were basically mid-grade soul armaments or high-grade soul armaments. The grade was definitely not low. However, he still planned to raise the proficiency of this skill. Currently, the grade was relatively low, but it definitely had a future. In the future, if he could customize some weapons or if the sect needed more soul armaments, then forging would be of great use. Under such circumstances, he quickly forged a low-grade soul armament. It was not difficult at all. At this moment, he was finally close to the treasure he wanted. He kept his weapon and looked at the situation below. The next item is mainly for divine inscriptions experts. I believe everyone knows that it is a very complete Jade Spirit Stone. Li Ya maintained a smile from beginning to end. Every piece of Jade Spirit Stone weighs more than 200 kilograms. I believe this value represents something to divine inscriptions cultivators. As she spoke, someone below the stage carried the Jade Spirit Stone up and placed it on the stage. Every piece of Jade Spirit Stone was as big as a head. However, such a small Jade Spirit Stone weighed more than 200 kilograms. Even if it was smashed and used as currency, its value would not be low. Many cultivators' eyes lit up. However, they were only a little interested to see who would buy it. Because most of them were not divine inscriptions cultivators, it was not very meaningful to them. There are a total of 6 Jade Spirit Stones here. Each of them weighs more than 200 kilograms. The heaviest one weighs as much as 300 kilograms. Li Ya continued. However, it is a pity that the seller has instructed that he hopes to sell them all at once and not in several batches. Therefore, he needs to buy all of them at once and not sell them individually. The price is higher. It is not exchanged with elixirs or martial arts, but with soul armaments. There is no limit to the types of soul armaments, but they must be at least low-grade soul armaments. If we buy them with mid-grade soul armaments, according to the normal conversion, one mid-grade soul armament is equivalent to 30 low-grade soul armaments. One high-grade soul armament is equivalent to 100 low-grade soul armaments. In order to have a good auction, we will start with the low-grade soul armaments. After we get it, we will convert it. Then let the auction begin. The starting price is 10 low-grade soul armaments. The minimum price cannot be lower than 10 low-grade soul armaments. Let's start the bidding. 50 low-grade soul armaments. You want to get this jade spirit stone with 50 low-grade soul armaments? You are too naive. I have 100 low-grade soul armaments. What a joke. 100 low-grade soul armaments is also very low. I will bid 200. Chapter 277. 200 low-grade soul weapons. The entire auction hall was in an uproar. If converted to mid-grade soul weapons, that would be a total of 6. Of course, it was still far from enough. There were 6 complete spirit jades here, and the price was much higher than ordinary spirit jades. This was just the beginning, just a warm-up. Lee Dong-yun narrowed his eyes as he listened to the bids. One couldn't help but to say that low-grade soul weapons were really cheap. A high-grade soul weapon was equivalent to 100 low-grade soul weapons. And this was under the condition that they had ordinary effects. If they had other divine imprints or other effects, the price would definitely be much higher. It was the same for low-grade soul weapons. If there was a 5th-grade divine imprint or even a Grandmaster rank divine imprint, the price would definitely be equivalent to a peak-level mid-grade soul weapon. Hence, Leah said to start the auction at this price. When the time came, they would calculate the price one by one. 300 low-grade soul weapons. 300 low-grade soul weapons? I'll bid 350. These voices were all coming from the VIP rooms. They were all high-ranked divine inscriptionists, either 5th grade or Grandmaster inscriptionists. If not, how could they be so rich? I'll bid 500 low-grade soul weapons. At this time, in the auction venue below, a sentence suddenly popped up, breaking the bidding war in the VIP room. 500 low-grade soul weapons. Many people turned their gazes over. The one who called out the bid was actually a woman with an unprepossessing appearance. But the price was still called out. 500 low-grade soul weapons, it was an extremely shocking price. Instantly increasing the price by 150 low-grade soul weapons, it could be said that she was rich and overbearing. 800 low-grade soul weapons. Lee Dong-yun's voice rang out. He was determined to get these spirit jades. It didn't matter if the price was high, it was truly worth it. Sadly, back then in the heavenly spiritual jade pool, he didn't think too much about it. If not, he would have been able to collect a few more spirit jades. However, those spirit jades could only be considered as usable, they weren't as pure as the ones in front of him. The main reason was because they had been used up by the Stellar Pavilion for too long. 800 low-grade soul weapons, once again, shocked the entire audience. Previously, an increase of 150 low-grade soul weapons was already considered quite shocking. Now that they had 300 soul armaments, that meant they had 3 high-grade soul armaments. The price was absolutely shocking. Damn, isn't he too rich? 800 low-grade soul armaments. If we give them to our disciples, we'll have 800 people with such powerful weapons. Yeah, 300 soul armaments in one go. If it were me, I wouldn't be willing to do that. Of course you wouldn't. You aren't even a divine inscriptionist, of course you wouldn't. This price instantly exploded. Leah, who was below the stage, recognized this voice and knew that it was Lee Dong-yun who shouted it. She knew that Lee Dong-yun was rich, but she didn't expect him to be this rich. This was equivalent to 8 high-grade soul tools. Although Lee Dong-yun had so many soul tools, he thought that high-grade soul tools were as common as cabbages. After all, high-grade soul tools could only be forged by a master blacksmith. Only core transformation stage cultivators were equipped with weapons, and there weren't many of them. But who was Yi Tianyun? He had killed a lot of core transformation stage cultivators, so what was a high-grade soul tool? If you have the guts, why don't you have a heaven-level weapon? The two divine inscriptionists in the VIP rooms who were arguing about the price immediately shut their mouths. This price was too high for them to bear. The woman who was arguing about the price also didn't say anything. This price was really too high. 810 low-grade soul armaments. At this time, a low voice came from the VIP room. At the same time, a voice was transmitted to Yi Tianyun's ears. Friend, I am the chief divine inscriptionist of the Netherworld Empire. This batch of spirit jade stones is very important to me. I hope that you will carefully consider yourself and stop competing with me over the price. If you provoke the Netherworld Empire, then don't blame me for not warning you. Li Hao's voice was somewhat cold, and he even emphasized the words Netherworld Empire. This is obviously a threat to Yi Tianyun, so that he will not compete with him for the price, or else he will be killed. 850 low-grade soul armaments. Yi Tianyun turned a deaf ear to Li Hao and immediately raised the price. Son of a bitch, how dare you ignore my words? Li Hao angrily slammed the table next to him. The whole table was smashed into powder, which scared the guard next to him. But he didn't continue to raise the price. If he continued to raise the price, it would be too expensive and not worth it. Very good, very good. Then you help me buy it, and then we will see if you can take it away. Li Hao's eyes were cold, and a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. In the VIP room, Yi Tianyun's eyes were cold. If it was any other sect that begged him, he might have given in, but this was the Netherworld Empire. Not to mention begging, even if he knelt down, he would still ask him to get lost. The new price caused another wave of uproar. The woman looked at Yi Tianyun, but she didn't continue to raise the price. Instead, she looked at the VIP room where Yi Tianyun was sitting. 850 low-grade soul armaments, is there a higher price? Li Ya continued to shout. This price was far beyond her expectations, and it made her very excited. After a while, no one continues to raise the price. Leah looked at Yi Tianyun's direction and said, "Then this batch of jade spirit stones belongs to this friend." After the announcement, many people looked over. They all wanted to see the face of the person sitting in the VIP room, and they wanted to know who was sitting in the VIP room. To be able to offer such a high price, it was impossible for an ordinary person to pay 850 low-grade soul armaments. After successfully winning the bid, Yi Tianyun was very satisfied. The price was not particularly high. As long as it was useful to him, he would spend a lot of money to buy it. What if he didn't have any soul armaments? He didn't have to worry about it at all. He could just go to the Netherworld Empire and trample on it. After the end of this auction, the next treasure was immediately brought up. It was covered by a piece of red cloth, and even the spiritual awareness could not detect what was inside. This is the final treasure. It's a type of pill. Leah gently opened the red cloth, and a delicate jade bottle appeared in front of everyone. This is called Spirit Congealing Pill. If you are at the peak of Spirit Refinement Realm, you can definitely break through to the Core Condensation Realm. If you are at the 9th level of Spirit Refinement Realm, you will also have a 50% chance to break through to the Core Condensation Realm. There are 5 of them. As soon as she said this, many people immediately went into an uproar. This means that there will be 5 more Core Condensation Realm cultivators, which can be regarded as training disciples. Chapter 278. For other sects, this spirit congealing pill is as simple as having 5 more core condensation cultivators, but for Yi Tianyun, it's the birth of a large number of core condensation cultivators. As long as he uses the appraisal eye, the pill recipe will become his. He has the alchemy proficiency skill, but it doesn't mean that he knows all the pill recipes. For example, he doesn't know the recipe for refining the spirit congealing pill. This spirit congealing pill? I must get it. Yi Tianyun's eyes flashed with a bit of desire. This is the treasure he needs very much now. Many people are ready to make a move. This spirit congealing pill is also a bit of desire for them. Core condensation may not be a big deal, but it can be used to train young disciples, so that they can break through to core condensation early, so that they can enter a higher realm faster. I believe that everyone is very interested in this spirit congealing pill. This spirit congealing pill can indeed be used as a divine pill to train disciples, but this kind of pill is really rare. Leah was very satisfied when she saw their expressions and immediately said with a smile, "The bidding method for the spirit congealing pill is very normal. You only need to pay the normal amount of spirit jade stones. If you don't have enough spirit jade stones to pay, you can use medicinal pills or weapons instead. Then prepare to start the bidding. The starting price of the spirit congealing pill is 5,000 spirit jade stones. Each increment must not be less than 500 spirit jade stones. Now start the bidding. 10,000 spirit jade stones." Yi Tianyun's voice was immediately thrown out. Many people were shocked by him again. Although they couldn't see his face, they couldn't help but look at him. The price has been raised to 10,000 spirit jade stones. How can other people compete with him? Leah's eyes showed a bit of surprise. She didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be interested in this pill. 10,000 spirit jade stones. Immediately, other people began to call out prices, but they were all in the VIP rooms. The prices in the later stages were too expensive, and it was not suitable for the cultivators sitting in the front to buy. Only those sitting in the VIP room are eligible to buy it. 15,000 spirit jade stones. Yi Tianyun didn't want to talk too much nonsense. He doesn't have much right now, but he has a lot of spirit jade stones. After killing so many core transformation stage powerhouses, the wealth on their bodies would definitely be enough for him to spend for a long time. He didn't dare to say that it was a lot of money, but he could still take out at least 100,000 spiritual jade stones, so he had to get this spirit congealing pill. Raising the price by another 5,000 spirit jade stones made many people speechless. Even if he had money, raising the price by 5,000 spirit jade stones so casually was a little too extravagant, wasn't it? 16,000 jade spirit stones. The other guests in the VIP rooms called out another price, but they wouldn't raise the price by 5,000 like Yi Tianyun did. This price was still too high for them. 20,000 jade spirit stones. Yi Tianyun raised the price by 5,000 again. He didn't treat money as money at all. Pervert! A burst of cursing came from the VIP lounge. How were they supposed to play with this price? Even if they could call out a higher price, it would be too much of a loss if they continued like this. 5 spirit congealing pills are good things, but if the price continues to go up, it is not worth it. 20,000 spirit jade stones, is there anyone who has a higher price? Leah looked around. This price was set too quickly. She thought that she could go up with a higher price. It seems that many people are still very rational. If they continue to go up, it is not worth it at all. After a while, no one continued to bid. Leah said, "Then congratulations to this friend. These 5 spirit congealing pills will belong to him." After this matter was over, many people couldn't help but take a look. How did such a rich person appear this time? The spirit congealing pill is not bad, but it is not enough to compete so fiercely, unless it is the pill formula of the spirit congealing pill. Otherwise it is really not worth continuing to bid. If it is the pill formula of the spirit congealing pill, then everyone will really go crazy. The price will definitely soar to the extreme. 5 spirit congealing pills can be sold at this price. What if it is a pill formula that can be used to refine pills? Thinking about it carefully, it is scary, but generally people will not sell the pill formula. This is too much of a loss. You can hold the pill formula, only you can refine it so you can make a continuous stream of money. Why not? This is simply a monopoly. The price can definitely be raised higher. Next, it's the last treasure. Leah's voice was a little louder, attracting everyone's attention. Immediately something was carried up, and soon the red cloth was pulled. A treasure appeared in front of everyone, a round crystal ball. This treasure is called the Heaven Spirit Treasure. If worn on the body, it can increase your cultivation speed. This effect is roughly 30%. This means that wearing the Heaven Spiritual Treasure to cultivate will give me more time to cultivate. Leah glanced at the crowd and said, "I believe for all cultivators, what does this mean?" It means that you can run faster than others, become stronger faster. The benefits of the Heaven Spirit Treasure, even the strong cultivators of the Spirit Core stage can use it. When this announcement came out, many people were shocked. They all stared at the Heaven Spirit Treasure. This is a rare and good thing. The effect of increasing the cultivation speed by 30% is absolutely a heaven-defying effect. Great, this is mine. I also want it. Even the Spirit Core stage can have an effect. This is definitely a high-grade soul tool. Don't fight with me, this old man wants it. They are all very interested in this treasure. They all have a feeling that they must get it. Leah is very satisfied with their situation. This is what she needs, so that the price can be higher. The Heaven Spirit Treasure is not a high-grade soul tool. It is a supreme-grade soul tool. It can be said that it is even rarer. The starting price is 50,000 Sky Spirit Stones. Each bid cannot be lower than 2,000 Jade Spirit Stones. Let the bidding begin. This is the last and strongest treasure, a treasure that can provoke everyone's nerves. 60,000 Sky Spirit Stones. Damn, who wants to compete with me? 65,000 Sky Spirit Stones. 70,000 Sky Spirit Stones. I want it. All of them are going crazy, and the price is constantly skyrocketing, even crazier than Yun. But as the price continued to rise, there was no sound from the VIP room where Yun was. This made many people feel a little disappointed. They thought it would be more intense. It seems that Yun is not going to make a move. In the VIP room, Yun drank tea, looking at the Heaven Spirit Treasure below. He has no interest at all. Increasing the cultivation speed by 30% is simply rubbish to him. It is not meaningful to him if his cultivation speed is not increased by dozens of times. Chapter 279. Yun didn't move at all. He just watched them fight for the treasure. Yun knew that a 30% increase in cultivation speed was already very amazing, but he had a better one, so he wasn't interested at all. Yun didn't make a bid, which made many people lose interest in him. They didn't expect that Yun wouldn't make a bid. Was it because Yun ran out of money? Leah was also very disappointed. She thought that she would see a higher price, but it seemed that she couldn't attract Yun's attention. However, even without Yun, the price continued to rise. 90,000 Spirit Jades. Another hoarse voice rang out. 90,000 spiritual jade stones was already quite a high price. It was estimated that the person had thrown caution to the wind and had bet all of his wealth on it. It wasn't because he lost his mind, but because his cultivation speed was very fast. After the 90,000 spirit jade stones were shouted out, there was no other sound. Everyone fell into silence. 90,000 spirit jades was too high. Many people couldn't afford it. 90,000 spirit jades. Is there a higher price? Leah continued to shout. After shouting a few more times, Leah pointed to the VIP room and congratulated Yun. Congratulations, friend, for successfully obtaining this heavenly spirit treasure. Now that all the treasures have been sold, please come again next time. Leah smiled. This auction was finally a success. This was her first time on the stage, so she couldn't help but feel nervous. Fortunately, everything was done perfectly. If you have successfully obtained a treasure, please come to the backstage. Leah added. Yun got up and walked out of the door. Not long after she walked out of the door, someone immediately stopped her. Wait. Yun turned his head and heard the voice. It was Li Hao, the self-proclaimed Chief Divine Rune Grandmaster of the Netherworld Empire. What's the matter? Yun looked at Li Hao. Li Hao's cultivation was indeed not low. He had reached the 3rd level of the core transformation stage. Although Yun didn't know whether Li Hao was really a Chief Divine Rune Grandmaster or not, his cultivation was very high. Which faction are you from? Li Hao looked at him coldly. Behind him, there were a few disciples whose cultivation was also not weak. They were all at the core condensation stage, but Li Hao didn't know what level of Divine Rune Master they were. I don't belong to any sect. Is there a problem? Yun naturally wouldn't tell them his name. To them, there was nothing to say. No sect? Do you know our Netherworld Empire? Li Hao said in a cold voice. I'll give you a chance, hand over the spirit jade stones and I can let you live. The Netherworld Empire is in great need of this spirit jade stone. As long as you give it to me, I won't hold you accountable for what you did just now. Your Netherworld Empire needs it, but I don't? Tianyun wasn't afraid of causing trouble, especially for the Netherworld Empire. No matter how many people came, he would kill them. Very good, you're very courageous. Li Hao sneered. Then take this spirit jade stone, let's see if you can hold it or not. After saying that, Li Hao left with his people. He didn't want to embarrass Tianyun. The most important thing is that Star Pavilion has a clear rule. That is, no one can make a move here. Otherwise, Li Tianlong will investigate to the end. If someone robbed the spirit jade stone right after they bought it, then where would the Star Pavilion's face go? So at least it can be guaranteed that it won't be robbed in the Star Pavilion, but outside the Star Pavilion is not necessarily the same. Once they left the city, the Star Pavilion would have nothing to do with them. If they wanted to protect everyone, the Star Pavilion wouldn't be able to do it. Therefore, even if Li Hao was a member of the Netherworld Empire, he must abide by this rule. Tianyun looked at Li Hao's departing figure. His eyes flashed with killing intent, but it quickly disappeared. After entering the backstage area, there were already quite a few people there who had already started to pay their bills and collect their treasures. Li Hao was one of them. When he saw Tianyun coming, his eyes flashed with coldness, but he didn't continue to speak ill of him. Young master, you're here? Leah walked over with a middle-aged man beside her. She introduced, this is the seller of the Sky Soul Stones. According to your previous offer, you'll have to pay at least 850 low-grade soul armaments. How are you going to pay now? I'll pay with high-grade soul tools. Is there a problem? Tianyun looked at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man's cultivation is not low. He is at the 7th level of Spirit Core stage. He must be an elder of a big sect or a palace lord. No problem, as long as it's a weapon. The middle-aged man said. Well, we'll pay with high-grade soul tools. Tianyun took out a high-grade soul tool and handed it over. This is a high-grade soul tool, you can appraise it yourself. The middle-aged man took it and looked at it carefully. He was surprised. Good blade, it looks good, but there are no divine runes engraved on it. I left it for you to engrave your own divine runes. Isn't it better to engrave your own divine runes? Tianyun smiled lightly. These are all dropped by the strong. Naturally, there won't be any divine runes engraved on it. It's already quite good that there are some effects on it. This is very good, I like it. The middle-aged man smiled. I like this blade very much. It's worth 160 low-grade soul tools. What do you think? Tianyun is very satisfied with the price. The middle-aged man didn't deliberately cheat him. Then he took out another blade. The middle-aged man inspected it one by one. His eyes were full of surprise. Just taking out 4 high-grade soul tools was more than enough to cover the price. He didn't really need 850 soul tools at all. Good, very good. The middle-aged man smiled with satisfaction. It's a pleasure to cooperate with you. I am Fang Ji, an elder of Brahma Mansion. If there is a chance, we will continue to cooperate next time. It turned out to be Elder Fang of Brahma Mansion. If there is a chance, we will continue to cooperate next time. Tianyun smiled. It turned out to be an elder of Brahma Mansion. No wonder his cultivation is not low. He just didn't know where these complete spirit jade stones came from, but he didn't ask about it, so he didn't say it. After this transaction, it was followed by spirit congealing pill, directly paid a large amount of spirit jade stones. There was no problem. The person who gave the spirit congealing pill was an alchemist. His cultivation was also not low, but he didn't mean to make friends with Tianyun. He didn't worry about selling this kind of pill, so there was no need for more communication. So Tianyun was too lazy to pay attention to him. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.